brought to you by rootsoftheswampthing.com, your definitive online source for all things Swamp Thing, featuring news, reviews, and a comprehensive chronology of the Swamp Thing. All in Files #1 is currently sold out. Issue 2 is in production. Make sure to follow John on Twitter at DCWorldSwampy or on Facebook.com/rootsoftheswampthing. That is rootsoftheswampthing.com for more of the green. Welcome to Wednesday Comics.
You are listening to Wednesday Comics, brought to you by rootsoftheswampthing.com, Rainbow Comics, Cards, and Collectibles, and WednesdayComics.com.
Keep turning those pages.
Welcome to Wednesday Comics. To my right, we have Alex. Alex, how you doing?
Pretty good. Hello.
And across me, we have Garrett. Garrett, how are you doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
And with us today, hashtag guest host 1.5. Garrett, Corey,
hashtag guest host 1.
Yeah. And this is Wednesday Comics, your friendly neighborhood podcast. And my name is Marvin, your guy in the mic right here in front of the board. Let's see here. We're going to start
You're the guy
off.
at the computer. Is that what it is?
And the guy in
the guy in the chair.
The guy in the chair.
Guy in the chair, yeah.
Yeah, it swivels too. So.
All right, yeah. Can you slide between two computers? We only have one. So.
I got one.
Oh, well. Argument invalid, I guess.
Today, a movie came out. What movie came out?
Spider-Man Homecoming.
Spider-Man Homecoming. I don't know what the voice was, but...
that was the intense interrogation mode.
Oh.
That's right.
So first off, I mean, usually we talk free talk up front, but today we're going to talk about a movie review because Corey's here and he has a time restraint. So let's talk about Spider-Man Homecoming. Directed by... Who's directed by?
John Watts.
John Watts. Starring...
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland. Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton. Gosh, Michael Keaton. Let's do it in order how the credits
John Favreau as Happy.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
I think we're forgetting.
Whoa, are we doing the spoiler-free review part
Robert
first?
Downey Jr.
No, we're just going
Yeah, we're
all
doing
in.
spoiler-free first.
Oh, my bad.
We always do.
We always do. Ignore that part. I mean, it's not really that big a spoiler. Yeah. I really didn't care about that. So, well, first off, I mean, we always do this every review. Overall, what did you think of the movie?
Parts were good, parts were not. I give it a 9 overall, but there were things that really bugged me.
I'm sitting on an 8. It was getting a little too close to there was a little too much of some things, and some things were forced, but a lot of the Spider-Man lore was still there, which was great. So that's why it's up there in the 8s. But there was something like... There are some things missing, and I get they have more time to do this story for this Spider-Man, but we'll talk about it when we get to the spoilers.
Corey?
I give it a 9 on a scale of 1 to Spider-Man 2. Just because it's like, I think at the beginning of the movie, they really had it down. Like, if they would have kept the flow that they started in that first act with, Spider-Man and, I want to save it for the spoiler part. The spoiler review part, but if they could have just kept the first act momentum going.
So I thought the second half was stronger.
I guess we should say, I mean, if you listen to the podcast, you would know, but let's just say for people who are brand new or have just started listening, you love Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. I'm crazy about Spider-Man.
How much of, you've read all Ultimate?
All of Ultimate Spider-Man, a majority of Amazing Spider-Man with gaps here and there, but I know the overall... For the most part, a lot of it. I've read at least the first 250 issues of Amazing Spider-Man, and I've been collecting from 595 on, and that's through the Superior run and all the volume runs they've done on Amazing.
And it's going to start back up $7.89. Is that correct?
Yep, $7.89. 11 away from 800.
Yeah, 11 away from spending $10. I think I actually am going to be the contrarian here, because it all seems like you said an 8. You said if it kept the momentum in the first act, and you think it kind of petered out. You said at 9, but some things irked you. There's only one thing that really irked me. I think this is the best Spider-Man movie. This is the most fun Spider-Man movie I've ever had. Yeah. This is the most that actually felt like Spider-Man. And because in those movies, here's the thing. It's not really spoilers. In those movies, it was more about like it was darker, grittier. Like they try to go that route. And in this one, you have a younger Spider-Man, so it's more fun. And even though there are things like he's trying to do his dual lifestyle of being Spider-Man and Peter Parker, it's less about like there's less about him trying to be Spider-Man and getting over his uncle's death, rather than in this one he's just trying to be a hero. So the story is from what does it take to be a hero, rather than what does it take him to get over it. He'd like honor his uncle. And so for me, at least, I was like, this feels way different than those other movies because they always try to restart and tell that same story. Plus, you're in the Marvel Universe. And actually, for this being the Marvel Universe, because they're all connected, but they always all feel like, hey, they're in this universe, but they're adding things. This one, it felt like we have enough things now where it's living in this world. We have hints to the other movies, the Avengers movies especially. Like, how are people reacting to this on the ground? And I was like, okay, like, for some reason, like this one really felt like a comic book, like a Spider-Man comic would be, like if I read an issue of it. Because when you read a comic, a lot of times you are in that world. It's not like, oh, you're not seeing a connection to Avengers and being like, holy shit, Avengers are in here, like you do in the movies.
Right.
And then this one too, I was just like, it was just a matter of fact that all this stuff happened, rather than me being like, oh, that's a sweet connection. Like it was so intertwined in the story that I was like, this really does feel like this has been, how many movies have they done?
This is the 6.
6, yeah.
No, of
No,
MCU.
of Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh.
I think it's 16.
But this one's the
up
first one where it's like, this is what it was all for. So you can put movies in this universe and not have to set up things like who's Iron Man, who's Happy. People just know. And so like now they're just, hey, here's how Spider-Man would be in this universe, rather than let's set up a lot of things. Like he's already working as Spider-Man. He already knows what he's doing. There's very little, let's try to help you understand what's going on. A lot of it was like, here's just them living. And I really like it. For me, because that's always like the exposition, all that shit. It's always, that's what makes me be like, okay, let's get past this part. I know what the fuck is going on.
Right.
And yeah, maybe you're living out a fucking rock, you know who Spider-Man is. But at this point, it's like, yeah, we know who they is. So like at this point, I was just like, I just wanted to see him. Because those good movies are always like, especially not the Amazing Spider-Mans, but like Spider-Man 2 is great because it's like, we're done with all that. Let's just go do the thing.
Step, yeah.
And this one really felt like, let's just do the thing. Why do we need to tell people the other part? And maybe we'll get into all that later, but this one was just like, let's just tell a Spider-Man story. And he's young enough that we can be like, how's this affecting him? Is he trying to grow up too fast? Is he trying to be more than he is? And we'll talk about it in spoilers, but something happens where it's like, no, he is at this level already. It's like, it's not what he knows, it's what he wants to be. So I really liked it a lot. I actually thought it was the most fun out of all of them. Not that I like Sam Raimi. It's in terms of directors, Sam Raimi I think is a better director, but a lot of his things are like showy.
Yeah.
Especially like in Spider-Man 2 when Doc Ock, spoilers for Spider-Man 2 if you haven't seen it.
Oh my gosh.
But like Doc Ock in that scene when they're trying what's that called? Operation Table.
What?
When he's in the operating room. And that's really Sam Raimi. It's like the shots are very like close up. It's very like Evil Dead, quick shots, and like you see like the chainsaw come up, and it's very stylized. And in this one, I really didn't see a lot of that. So I think like director wise, I think that movie's better. Oh, what shirt are you wearing?
Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh, okay. I thought that was Spider-Man 2, not that movie. We'll forget about that. Spider-Man 2, I think, is better directed, but in terms of writing and like Tom Holland, I think Tom Holland's the best Spider-Man. I think Tobey Maguire was a good Peter Parker, but I could never believe him as Spider-Man. It also felt like he was trying to play up, like, I'm trying to figure this out. And I think he was getting kind of there. And then between like the end of 2, I was like, okay, he gets it now. But then 3 like messed him up.
Right.
In The Amazing Spider-Man, I was always like, this guy's a good Spider-Man. What's his name? Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield, yeah.
But as Peter Parker, I was like, man, this guy's too cool for being Peter Parker. He's a fucking skateboarder. And like, you know what I mean? It's like, it never felt punk rock,
emo rock or whatever.
I never bought that it was like, this is the guy who's struggling, me and Peter Parker at school. I was always like, this dude's
getting laid.
He's popular. Yeah, this dude is making it in high school. He's not having a hard time. You can show me that he is, but I don't believe it. But as Spider-Man, he was good. So it always felt like, okay, well, they got that part right. So in those movies, I was like Spider-Man, but the Peter Parker parts were the part I was like, all right, I don't want to, like, I don't enjoy this part. And in Tobey Maguire's ones, I like the Peter Parker parts, and the Spider-Man's I did like, but also I felt like that's the movie version, especially with like the organic webs. Like they changed a lot of things, so it's like they were trying to make their Spider-Man.
Right.
And in this movie, it was like, okay, that's Marvel Spider-Man.
I definitely agree that it was just totally like, this is the first time it's Peter Parker. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there was always like hints, and like, some people could pull off better at times, but it's like, it's just, you felt the everyday, and that's what Peter Parker is, the everyday struggle. You know, how he's not perfect and how he, but he still keeps, keep on keeping on.
The best part of Spider-Man 2 is when he
Good sentence.
is having a hard time with that.
Like a Peter Parker sense.
He's having a hard time with that, and then like he gives up being Spider-Man. You see how much he gets back, but that's like a short part of that movie, and I don't feel like 3 or 1 really reflect on that a lot. And then in this movie, I feel like the whole time I was like, man, this dude's life is horrible being Spider-Man. Like he can't do anything he wants to do.
Right.
Like he really likes in the movie Liz, but he can never do anything, pursue her at all, because anytime he tries to, something happens, he has to leave. He can never do any of his studies because he's so distracted. He's looking at Spider-Man videos on the computer. That was in a trailer, so that's not really spoilers. But still, like in this one, I actually felt like I was like, okay, like now I kind of understand, and that's a point in the movie I was thinking a lot in the movie. This movie, I was like, it's cool that he's Spider-Man. Like all the suit's cool, all this is cool. Be part of the Avengers, but also I was like, man, you can't do anything else. Like and there's other movies I would always be like, oh, I want to be Spider-Man. And this one I was kind of like, it might be hard to be Spider-Man. Like it's still cool, but like you get that part, and I think that comes down to the writing. I think for the first time, we're like, let's make this more. And there's a good scene when he gets. We'll talk about that later. Actually, that's spoilers. I just want to spoil something. But I did really like this movie, and it might be just my taste and like what I'm looking for in Spider-Man stuff. Because like if we go to recently Dan Slott version of Spider-Man, I didn't really like that because it's more out there. He's more bigger scale, like kind of stuff. And I liked just seeing Peter Parker, and that's why I like the Ultimate Spider-Man so much, because that's about Peter.
Yeah,
it's not really about Spider-Man. That stuff happens, but like a majority of that story isn't like that first arc. He's mainly just Peter Parker.
Oh yeah, you like for example, he doesn't even put on the suit for Ultimate Spider-Man to like issue. I don't even remember if it's like 6 or 7 or something like that.
That's a while.
And there's a whole issue, spoilers for Ultimate Spider-Man, but there's a whole issue 6 or something like that where he tells Mary Jane that he's Spider-Man.
13.
13.
I believe that is.
And the whole issue, that's all it is.
Yeah.
Is him in the room telling her that he's Peter Parker. Peter Parker. I'm Peter Parker, by the way. That on Spider-Man, like trying to figure out how to tell her and how that she deals with it, and then going back and like him telling her how he is Spider-Man and how it is being Spider-Man and all stuff like that. And it's like, that's a great issue, because then you finally feel, especially Spider-Man, the guy that wears a mask over his face. There's not much you can tell. Like when Cap fights, he really has that hole, and you can see him emote, and you'll go, oh, okay, the Cap's behind there. But Spider-Man, unless that shit gets ripped away, which it does a lot, then you're kind of like, it's kind of hard to relate. And that's why I think you need to set up Peter early and set him up in ways like that. And I think this movie did a good job of that. I do think it's a lot of fun.
Oh,
it really was.
Oh yeah,
like,
it's the most fun. Yeah, it's definitely the most
I
fun
think the
Spider-Man.
jokes, and maybe I want to get your guys' take on this, because I thought this when I left, but I thought the jokes were better in this movie than they've been in any MCU movie. Like Guardians, I think tries a little too hard.
Yeah.
Like I like a lot of the jokes, but every once in a while I'll be like, all right, like
I thought
these all felt natural and like were the funniest, I thought.
We need
Everything
to
but
get into
the
the spoiler discussion.
I'm saying everything but the Robert Downey Jr. stuff. I think, man, it's almost time. Like every time I see him on screen,
that's
it's
my
just
only
like
gripe
starting
with
to
it.
get retired.
I'm gonna give it a 9, but I said I only had one gripe with it.
Yeah.
It's all the Happy and Iron Man stuff. It's
Yeah.
Oh, so that was my one thing, is Happy didn't need to be in it. Iron Man was fine with me for the first like 2 times I saw him.
Yeah.
Can we just do the spoiler thing now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need
Yeah,
to.
let's-
we all
Final
want spoilers.
thoughts.
we all
Final thoughts,
agree.
general view.
We all agree that it's
Yeah.
worth seeing.
Yes, definitely.
I
I
will
liked it
admit,
the
I did not
most.
nearly laugh as much as everyone else did
Well-
around me. But I know I'm
Well,
heartless.
because Alex is heartless. He thinks everything is garbage.
Yeah, I really thought I loved it the most out of all Spider-Man. I thought it was the most fun, especially if you're gonna go. If you're thinking now, you're like, okay, I'm done with Spider-Man. They messed it up too many times. I think they've finally. I think they have redeemed themselves enough to be like, okay, give it a chance.
Right.
I think now, especially was it Corey? Did you say that? Where like Sony was like, Marvel was like, we'll make your movie, just pay for it. And I think that's what it really does feel like a Marvel movie. It doesn't feel anything like those Sony movies.
Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't feel like at all like it's holding back from Spider-Man. It feels like, okay, this is Marvel's Spider-Man, and Sony just paid for it. Oh, by the way, all those trailers and ads, if you're thrown off by any of those, all those ads are horrible what that movie's about.
Right.
Like, all those ads making that movie look like about Iron Man, like you said, and that ferry scene's like the main point of that movie. That ferry scene's pretty quick in that movie, actually, when you think about the whole thing.
5 minutes.
And the Iron Man thing is actually, when compared to how much the trailer, the poster shows of Iron Man, it's fairly little compared to what they promoted.
Right.
So even though that stuff, like actually those two parts of it were the weakest parts of the movie for me, but they're not in the movie that much, so
yeah.
I would still go see it. Thumbs up. 9 out of 10.
Drop the curtain now. Yep. Spoilers coming in.
Spoilers coming in. If you want to go see Spider-Man Homecoming, go and see it. Otherwise, if you have seen it, stick along. I'll put notes in the podcast description in the video, and then in the podcast app. Corey just asked me about that. You have to download it actually on the podcast app to see it, and I'll mark it for spoilers. Yeah, all that happy stuff and Iron Man stuff. Iron Man, you're right. Iron Man's okay. But all the happy stuff, like him checking in and all that stuff like that, I was like, come on. Fuck
it wasn't even funny.
Well, I think what pissed me off.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They played it funny.
Is
that's
that-
what I mean.
Yeah.
That Happy is oblivious to anything that Peter's telling him. And then at the end when he goes, oh, you were right. I thought you work for Iron Man. You've seen all this shit happen. You know this crap is out there. So why would you not believe this kid that can shoot webs from his hands?
That's the only thing I didn't get because there was some justification. Like, so Tony brings him in for Civil War to help them out.
Right.
And he doesn't say anywhere in Civil War, correct me if I'm wrong, you've seen it a bunch of times. Oh, you guys probably have too.
I watched it yesterday.
Okay. So at no point in the movie he say that he just wants Peter for like any of his movesets or anything. He's just like, I'm bringing Peter in. We need this guy. Right. And in Spider-Man, he acts like, no, you're like why you're not part of this team. It's like, dude, you're the one who wanted him for your team. He didn't come to you. No. And then now you're being like, oh, I don't want you part of my team. And it's like, there's nothing he did in that fight in Civil War that would be like, he's not ready for this. Like, he was fighting toe to toe with them. And even though he said, hey, Cap would have taken you out if he wanted to, he took out a lot of people in that. And like, they all would have taken everybody out if they wanted to. Cap didn't want to take anybody out. So how's that even a reason to be like, oh no, you're less than us. Cap took it easy on you. No, he didn't. He took it as hard as he took it on anybody else. So that's the only thing I was like you said, why aren't you listening to this guy? You obviously brought him in for a reason.
Yeah.
And even though you know he's a kid, he, like you said, he's on the ground floor in New York City. If he's calling you with information, maybe listen, especially since they're recording it all and like they're getting all the information. And I was like, they have all this stuff and he keeps telling them and they don't believe him. Why? Like they're seeing it.
I feel like, is it John Fairview is his name, right?
Favreau.
Whatever. I don't think he needs to be in these movies. Like
I've never liked him as Happy. I do like John Favreau a lot. I like him in Swingers. He's pretty money in that movie. But I don't think that...
He's not a good character for this.
I don't like his Happy
movie.
I liked him in Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was kind of like, let's bring him back. And like they kept trying to shove him into movies. And maybe it's because he was director of the first two. But actually in 3, I liked him in 3.
Yeah.
So 2, I thought he was a little shoot in. And then post that, especially in this goddamn movie, he was like...
He was an eyesore.
You can have an antagonist against the main character in a story or something that's pushing back a conflict that's like stopping him from doing stuff. And you can have a fucking nuisance. And that's what this guy was. I was just like,
it was just unwarranted. It was like,
You're right.
They just wanted to connect it to Iron Man, you know. And of course, at the end, we got a little Iron Man 4 2-minute special. But like...
You're right, because he never did anything that stopped Peter. It was always like, don't do that. They had a little scene, and then Peter would do it anyways. Right. So what's the point? All it was is for them to be... them to have a scene with them.
Yeah.
The Tony parts, you're right. I do get the Tony parts. It's like, hey, you're not ready for this, even though I don't get his justification.
The Tony to me was the replacement for Uncle Ben. He was the one teaching Peter of these things, which kind of bugged me.
He kept bringing up his dad too.
Oh, that's going to open up a can of worms. Because here comes Corey. Okay,
was I fucking done talking?
Were you done? No, you're not. Finish your thought.
Finish your thought.
Go. Then I'm gonna bounce off of you.
I'm gonna wait till you shut your trap, Spider-Man.
Shutting trap.
Okay, the only thing that kind of did bug me, he doesn't need to be in the movie, but I wish he would have been referenced, was Uncle Ben.
I don't think so. I like they didn't shove him in. I mean, we know.
I don't need, but
they referenced him. Hey, she's going through some stuff.
There's no pictures. There's no nothing. It's like he wasn't in this universe. That's how it felt to me.
Aunt May's not barely in this movie too.
Yeah, but like they could have.
That's the thing. That's what I mean. Like those other movies, they focus on that so much, and this movie was like, no, we're focusing on how does he fit in this world. how does he, like, this is him trying to be a hero, especially that scene we were talking about before the podcast started. Throwback to John Romita's amazing art in that scene where they're lifting up the concrete.
And Spider-Man 33.
In that
One
scene,
of the best parts of the movie that gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, that gave me goosebumps too. That was a really good part. I don't know.
Well, you
I
would
didn't like
have
the
to read the
accent.
issue. It
Come on,
was like
Spider-Man. Come
no,
on,
it was
Spider-Man.
it was like
when he was like
panel for
when
panel,
he was like
the same as the comic.
like getting flustered and
when
like,
he was crying, when he was
Yeah,
upset about
I
it,
was like-
I felt that. It was him building himself up, calling himself Spider-Man. Come on, Spider-Man, you can do this. I was like,
He's just
Well,
some weird
that's what he
accent.
does in the comic.
I just wanted him to just.
But that's the
dig
point,
deep and
especially.
get it.
I don't like that they had Tony's voice playing in his head. I thought it was a little cheesy. But
Yeah.
like at that point, what Tony did say came to his thing. It was like, it's not if you're nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it. It's basically and when he's saying that part, come on, Spider-Man. He's saying the Spider-Man's not the suit. Spider-Man is you, Peter Parker. Like you don't need it. You're already a
So
hero.
Batman Begins right there.
So like that part where he's like, come on, Spider-Man. He's saying, this is you. Let's do this. I'm a hero. I don't need this. The suit was in front of him. He's like, I don't need this mask to help people. I need just to be there and be someone who's going to stop these things. And so he lifted the thing up. And you're right. Like, I think that actually that point, I did get chills, and I'm getting chills around talking about it. I don't know why. I know you said you didn't. I thought it was a really strong part of the movie. And I actually think that small part, it's like, what, a minute long, is probably the best acting in any Spider-Man movie. Like all the rest of them was always like, Tobey Maguire's good. I like Tobey Maguire in other things. And in Spider-Man, he was always good. I like Andrew Garfield in other things, but he was always good. I guess I haven't seen Tom Holland in anything, but in that one scene, I was like, this kid's fucking good.
I think the thing for me is that I believe that Peter even acknowledged, I'm screwed right now if I can't get this off.
Yeah.
No one's going to come save me. No one knows I'm here. I don't have the suit that has a tracker. I'm fucked if I can't get up. And so when he's crying, he's actually acknowledging, holy shit, what do I do?
I do like that also. Like you see him getting saved by Tony over and over again when he gets in the water and he's drowning, the ferry scene. And in that scene, he's not going to get saved.
He's like,
so in that
no.
scene, he's like,
I was expecting
this-
Iron Man to like lift the concrete.
And
I
I'm
was
glad
like, don't
he did
do
it.
that.
Yeah, I
That's-
know.
I'm-
This is
no,
his
that was
moment.
good.
This is the moment where he's like, no, I can do this with my own. I don't need to be part of the Avengers. I'm Spider-Man. I can do this on my own. I can be my own hero. And that's what sets up at the end where he's like, he turns down Tony. He's like, I don't want to be part of the Avengers.
You want to know what another best part of this movie was? And it's the only Spider-Man movie to do it. The half mask, half face
Yeah.
in the water.
I did like that too. There's a
That
lot of
was
throwbacks
amazing.
to
That's
actual comic.
Yeah, because that happens in the
scenes,
comics
yeah.
all the time. And when I saw
That's what
that,
you-
I was like, that was the other part that's like, oh my gosh, this is Spider-Man. I was freaking out because that's a pretty epic part.
That's
of
what
the
I mean.
comic
There's a
book.
lot of moments that's like, that's Marvel's Spider-Man. Rather than the other movies be like, that's Sony Spider-Man. You know,
Yeah,
there'll always be
right.
like differences. And, it'd be like-
Yeah.
and this movie really felt like this for the first time being like,
Embracing
that's
Spider-Man
That's the
culture.
person that I love
Yeah.
in the books.
I want confirmation on a character. That's the Tinkerer, right?
Yeah, I looked it up at IMDb.
Oh.
He's listed as Tinker in the credits. So.
Okay.
Oh, Mason,
the one under
assistant.
Tombs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
actually,
did see an article.
Corey,
with that.
spoiler wise, let's say who do we have in this movie? Do we have the Tinkerer? There's a lot of people actually who show up in this movie.
Scorpion was in it. Aaron Davis is the ultimate prowler. And so if you caught the nod where he's like, my nephew lives in this neighborhood, he's referring to Ultimate Miles Morales. So that opens up that Ultimate Universe thing that's currently going in the comic verse right now. Who else do we got? Shocker, yep. I don't know. I'm assuming, obviously they killed the first Shocker, but because I did see in the credits that they did have his actual name, and so I'm assuming it's the second one. I'm trying to think what it is, Herman or something.
I couldn't remember what
H.
Shocker's real name is.
It starts with an H. I think.
I read an article that said that he's the for sure Shocker, and the other guy was like this cowboy character.
Okay.
I did like the modernized version of that suit. I wish they had both blasters. I
wish
wanted both.
blasters, and I want the damn mask.
Oh yeah, the damn ass. But you saw the coat though.
I saw the coat with the
was
yellow-
interesting. Yeah.
which-
Yeah, but the thing is, especially that's like the only thing, and that irks me about all comic book movies, is that they always like, let's bring in enough to a point, but they never go full comic book.
Wow, I wonder why they have a problem with villains.
But okay. Speaking of villains,
Like Vulture.
Vulture, honestly, is
Oh, he was terrifying.
is my favorite
the best,
villain
yeah.
of the MCU.
Absolutely. Oh yeah,
Yeah, I'll agree.
for
I'll
sure.
agree.
I
for
felt-
sure.
You know why though? Because in those movies, let's just go back and think about all the movies. The first movie, I think, is probably the second contender is Norman Osborn, because you see a lot of Norman not being Green Goblin, him with Harry and stuff like that, and you see him be a part of Peter's life. Second one, I mean, he's a good villain, but I don't think he's not. We're not talking 1 or 2. You know what I mean? But you don't see a lot of Doc Ock before he becomes Doc Ock. You see him in one scene. 3, no, not really. They try to set up a thing with Sandman's daughter, but it's so like, this is the reason why you should care about him, rather than making me care about him. That it's like, whatever. Amazing Spider-Man 1, we had the Lizard. It was the same thing. It was like Doc Ock. They just set him up and like, okay, he's the Lizard. Who was in 2?
Electro.
That was like the worst.
Gosh, that was
the worst.
Everybody.
I didn't feel. You never felt anything for that guy. So in this movie, you set him up as like he's not trying to. In all those movies, it was like Doc Ock is trying to build that shit and like to take over the world. You know, they all want to do world domination. This one, he's like, I'm trying to provide for my family.
Right.
Like that's all I want. This is what I'm doing this for.
Which looks like he was successful.
And it never felt like bullshit. It always felt real. It's like, because in all movies, they're like, I'm doing this for my family. Like, yeah, right. You're not doing this for your family. Do this for yourself. If you want to anchor back to like Breaking Bad, eventually at a point, he's doing this for himself. He's not doing it for his family anymore.
Right.
But in this movie, the whole time I was like, yeah, he's doing this for his family. And you get a lot of like seeing him not be Vulture. He's Vulture, like 4 times. The rest of the times he's just wearing the coat and he's like talking with them, being like, this is the reason why we're doing this. Or when he talks to Peter in the car scene, it's him, it's not Vulture. And when you see him doing the monologue before he puts on that one suit, he's himself. And those 2 parts, I think, especially the car scene.
Holy
like,
shit.
That's
that
the
car
best.
the
scene.
tension in that car
That's
scene.
the best
That whole
villain
scene where
part.
Peter meets him
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
intense.
I was
A little awkward.
That's
in
what
the
I mean,
house.
like-
I was sideswiped. I was like, I did not expect that in a million
The
years.
best parts of his villain are him being himself or being a family man in that scene when he's, the father of his prom date,
Yeah.
rather than him being Vulture. So the same thing with Spider-Man. When you get him in Vulture, you're like, that's the guy. Like, I want Peter to stop him, but at the end, when he's about to blow up, you're like, I want Peter to save him.
Well, it's like with that whole scene in the kitchen or whatever, you're just like, this is the kind of dad that would be so funny to bring your
And he's funny too.
to meet. Yeah,
So
so
you're
it's
like,
you're
you're
like
liking this guy.
and he's like talking about he's flicking the knife and things like that. You're like, gosh, he's hilarious, but he's also a bad guy, sort of.
By the way, props. Because when we got to the end of the movie, if I would have saw this before we went to the movie, I didn't see very much about this movie before I went, besides those commercials and one trailer. But I saw the script was written by 8 people, and it was like one team with 2 people, one team with 2 people, one team with 2 people, one, 2. So basically, I got written 4 times. Anytime I see that in a movie, it's like, oh, this movie's gonna be fucking horrible, and it always is. I've never went to a movie and saw that and be like, man, this movie's fucking good. This is the first time where the writing is good, and I saw that get rewritten 4 times. Now, whether or not that's because it went through Sony and then Marvel became a Sony movie and it was a Marvel movie, I don't know.
Right.
But I saw that at the end. I was like, wow, that's a good job to have 8 people write one movie, and there's not a part besides the Tony and Happy stuff that I was like, this doesn't feel like it's ever disjointed at all. It feels like there's strong parts of it. The Michael Keaton scene, like you just said, and like where he's funny, the choice to make him like, let's make him this likable guy that's doing this for his family, rather than the same villain who's always just trying to take over the world.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like when Spider-Man talks about like, I want to be on the ground, like I'm in New York City. This movie really felt like really grounded, rather than the other movies also feel like this epic. Yeah, like Winter Soldier and stuff like that. This felt like this is about them.
The only thing I was going to say about all the other Spider-Man movies, he's always in New York. Where he actually leaves. He goes to Washington D.C. He goes to Maryland. He goes to these other places on the East Coast where he has to find a way to get there, whether through a school trip or riding a car back.
Yeah, he really feels like a kid in this movie.
And you know what? My favorite part, other than honestly, Vulture is my favorite part of this movie, is Michael Keaton. But the fact, spoilers, he doesn't get killed.
That is nice.
Yeah.
That they actually let Spider-Man save him.
I actually, when he was like, it's going to blow up, and I was like, fuck, they're going to kill another villain.
Right.
Wait, I was thinking in my head, I was like, why are you always going to kill
You don't have
villains
enough. Yeah.
It's like, quit killing them off,
have any to
especially
spare.
somebody as good as Vulture is in this movie.
Yeah.
And then he saves him. And at the end, you almost feel like, earlier in the movie, he's like, I'm doing this for Liz. No, he's like, Peter asks him, why are you doing this to Liz? He's like, I'm not. I'm doing this for Liz. And then at the end of the movie, he saves him. And you can almost see Mike Keaton being like, wow, you really do care about Liz too. You care about me. Like, you're not doing this because you want to stop me. You're doing this because you want to save people. And that part, I was like, he understands that. That's why here at the end, they're like, who is this guy? Who is Peter Parker? I know you. I know
the
Scorpion ass.
Scorpion ass.
As Vulture. I know you know who who Spider-Man is. And he was like, I don't know. Like, so at that point, Peter had proved himself to a point where he's like, I'm not, this kid's safe.
Right.
Even though
he
I
saved his
threatened him.
life.
Yeah.
So.
One thing I did want in the suit, though, like the first time he shows up, it was like terrifying. I was like, "Whoa, this guy looks scary." It's like
Suit was awesome.
I wanted, I want him to do a little bit more with the terror and the menacing with the suit. Just a little bit more. I'm not saying, he was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I wanted more of a little villainous edge.
That's what I think, though. I don't think he was a straight villain. Like, he didn't really want to terrorize people. He wanted to...
Yeah. I want the Marvel, Marvel Comics Vulture. And I know they were just working with what they had and what they were trying to do to fit the story, but it's like, I want
a little rampage vulture.
You'll get that in Scorpion. Scorpion really felt like that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I think
that's true.
Scorpion's going to be terrifying.
Shocker wanted to be a villain. Vulture just wanted to provide for his family.
Yeah, I know.
I tell you what.
But I needed
thought
my
Vulture was scary
accent
as shit, though.
tools.
Yeah.
He was every time that suit, like whenever I'd hear it, like just flying, like I was more scared. Like in that first movie, you see the Green Goblins like coming, and you're like, oh shit. But this, I was like the whole time, every time it just like screech, like in the because there's like 16 speakers in our theater. I was like, shit.
You know what? Vulture only kills one person the whole movie. The guy with the gun.
Shocker one.
For sure.
And actually, he didn't mean to kill him. He thought it was an anti-gravity gun.
Yeah.
And then you see that he was like, oh shit, this was an
Dumb
anti-gravity gun.
Prometheus guy.
So he didn't mean to kill him, but he didn't care that he killed him.
Yeah, he had like no remorse.
So it's like, oh, well, this is to further what I need. But
It's kind of like, oh, that's unfortunate.
he's like, that's not what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
I want your professional opinion. The 4 people in the bank. Do you think those were the enforcers?
No.
I think they're just random.
Okay.
I
guess you're right. They weren't actually working for Vulture and Shocker people.
By the way,
they
I
got the guns.
They were using his weapons. They bought
using
them.
the tech.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I did like how they had the minor conflicts, like the like that, because that's what he's doing. He's going through the neighborhood, he's beating up bad guys, things like that, and they had plenty of that. And that
was good. I like that part a lot too, because like I said, it really shows like the ground is Spider-Man rather than he's trying to save the world. It's like no, the dude's stopping him.
Well, like that whole opening segment, it's like with the car where he's webbing the guy's hand. He's doing all these little things at the start, like helping the old lady and just doing everything in the neighborhood. I was like, oh, this is so cool because it was funny. It was the first time you kind of seen like that, and so it's like that's what I was talking about with the jokes. Like at the beginning, like the first act with that and the way he was being Spider-Man was gold.
By the way, if you go see this movie, I think, and I will say Corey because Corey knows, but. You guys too. Also, you've read Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah,
you've read enough of Amazing to know. This really does feel like this is Ultimate Spider-Man. This is not really Amazing Spider-Man. Peter Parker.
It's not very.
How young he is. How they even make like kind of reference. I mean, even though there's Amazing Spider-Man stuff in this movie, there's also Ultimate stuff. Like Peter doesn't hide his identity well. It always like people always figure out he's Spider-Man. And I think in Ultimate before he died. Spoilers for Ultimate Spider-Man, I guess. But right before he died, like 20 people knew who the fuck he was. You know what I mean? He's like, he had a family who knew who he was that stayed at his house. And that was always because like he was never careful about like kind of like thinking Mary Jane was the only one that he actually told. The rest of them like he would find out. And then Aunt May was like, oh yeah, I know. She like knew the whole time. And he told her, but she's like, yeah, I know. The fuck you're not leaving the
instantly makes me think of the cliffhanger of the movie where Aunt May finds out that
that was pretty funny.
Peter started, I'm just like, that's kind of cool. I think that's going to be a fun thing to tackle in the next movie, like her being like, the fuck are you doing?
Well, I read a thing that I think it was Kevin Feige or John Watts. I read an article today, and he was talking about this issue in Amazing Spider-Man, and it's where May finds Peter's suit. It's like, it's right after a villain fight. He's unconscious in his bed, and May walks into the room, and she just sees like his torn up Spider-Man clothes on the floor. And so then you see this whole next issue is just Aunt May and Peter talking, where it's just learning about how long, what's been going on, why do you feel like you need to do this, and trying to get Aunt May to understand why he does what he does. And so I think that's an opportunity for the second movie to not necessarily have to go origin story Uncle Ben, but why do you do this? Why are you Spider-Man?
Yeah, you can make it more of her finding out rather than us seeing for the 15th time how
Uncle
it happened.
Ben died.
Yeah.
Like we know, but she doesn't know.
Yeah.
So it'd be a good way to frame
That'd
it.
be awesome.
I want what do you guys think? So, like I said, there's a lot of Ultimate stuff, but there's also stuff in Amazing Spider-Man. So it's not really, I can't be like, this is Ultimate Spider-Man 100%.
Yeah.
I just
can't
say
be
it's
like
Spider-Man.
I can't be like, this is amazing. But the thing is weird is that, so there is a reference to Miles Morales. We have a Prowler in there that says my nephew lives not too far from here. So we do so Miles exists in this universe. They made it a point to be like, hey, Miles is here. And to get excited for it, be like, hey, he's here. So when Miles comes up and like, if he does become Spider-Man in this movie universe, if he does come up and they do introduce him, isn't it be kind of weird that a lot of his things, especially like his best friends, are like, oh, that's Peter's best friend instead. You know what I mean? It's like
how they kind of like, cut and pasted kind of some
so
things.
when Miles comes, it's like, what does he have left?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they'll just steal some of Peter's things. You know what I mean? Mix it up.
Let's do The Godfather with his dad.
Maybe Miles will have Harry as his best friend instead. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, also, I didn't notice Harry Osborn not in this movie.
I thought at first when they were at that ATM, that the green sign, it was like Manhattan Bank or whatever, but I thought that picture was Norman. I was like, potentially maybe that was going to be like a Osborn drop, but it wasn't.
I heard a rumor, or people were speculating that, you know how they were selling Avengers Tower? They're selling it to Norman Osborn. Oh. Like he bought the tower and they're moving out. Because they talked about it in the movie, like somebody bought it already. They're just moving out.
Oh, shit.
So that could become Osborn.
That'd be crazy.
So, I mean, was there any point in the movie you said you didn't like Happy and Iron Man? Is there anything else?
Let's talk about Iron Man 4 real quick here for the 1 minute. The whole 2 minutes. So, yeah, Tony and Happy ask Peter if he'll be an Avenger, and he's like, no, because he knows that he doesn't need to be an Avenger. So we get to that part, and so much was forced in the 2 minutes after that I couldn't even look at the screen. Like, it made me so uncomfortable. I was like, this is horrible.
That end part?
That end part with Tony, Happy, and Gwyneth Paltrow.
Especially when
with Pepper.
Peter leaves and it's like 3 minutes.
And like they're being jokey and the jokes weren't even funny. Like flipping the ring, being like, hey, her contract expired, but we got her in for one more just to wrap things up.
What I was concerned about was like, this is exactly like Avengers for Thor. It's like, how the heck... Okay, so Pepper and Tony are back together. Okay, we didn't know this at Iron Man 3 or whatever, or Civil War, they were not together. They were on a break.
Yeah.
And now they're A-okay, potentially about to get engaged, where, if you remember Thor in, Avengers, he couldn't get back to Earth because the bridge was broken, and then he comes back somehow. It's like
Odin used a lot of power to get
here. But that's never explained. No, they never said that.
Yeah, he did.
In what?
He made a pun that is like, it took a lot to get me here.
Yeah, that doesn't mean shit.
I know, that's
How
what I'm
does
saying
he get
to you.
there?
They don't tell you.
I don't know if that's a pun.
I don't know the fucking pun.
No.
I'm saying he says a pun.
Well, just that's what I'm saying. Where at times they'll present
maybe it wasn't
stuff.
a pun, but Garrett thinks it's a pun.
Whatever, a joke.
It was an offhand reference, being like, "Hey, Odin,
Odin used
like,
all
don't worry
Asgard."
about it.
Yeah,
You guys are being
the problem
me,
here.
thinking too hard about stuff.
yeah.
I think it was.
I need to know.
You know what it felt like, because she wasn't in Iron Man 3 or Civil War, excuse me, because she
Contract
didn't want, contract reasons.
Yeah.
But now she's back, so they're just like, people want to see her.
I know, but
I know. I didn't like it either.
Yeah, it
I'm
was
just saying
stupid.
that's why they didn't try to explain it. They're just like, just put it in there.
I think that could have been handled like if you would have. I would rather you had dipped her in more throughout that entire movie rather than force her for 30 seconds.
I'm also kind of tired of, and this happens a lot in the comics, which is why I go back and forth with liking Tony Stark, especially in the comics. And like you said a couple weeks ago, not really my favorite, but I always hate that he's always the foil for being like he's always the guy pushing against everybody. Civil War, you know, in this movie, he was the person pushing against Peter Parker. In Avengers, he was the guy like fighting, like, is he the leader or is Captain the leader? You know, like, and then you know what I mean? He's always the guy, the foil. Yeah. And especially with Rob Downey Jr., of course, he's their main star. We need somebody. That's what the thing I didn't understand, especially with Sony's marketing. They're like, nobody's going to see Spider-Man. We got to make sure they know that Iron Man's in this movie.
Right.
When did Iron Man become so popular? I guess over this movie universe.
Well, it's just Robert
He's
Downey
led
Jr.
this whole
Well,
universe, though.
That's what I mean, though.
Without
It's like
him, it's not.
Now we're at a point where Spider-Man's not enough, where it's like, bring Iron Man in. Where we've like, before those movies even started, only people who read comics knew who Iron Man was. They're supposed to be like, who the fuck are you talking about? Who's Iron Man?
See, I found since Civil War, Robert Downey Jr.'s jokes in the movies now are just not good. Every time I'm just like,
it's like Jack Sparrow. You just kind of know how he's gonna act.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good.
Tired.
That's a good
analogy.
Analogies. He seems like Jack Sparrow now.
Yeah,
he seems like he's the guy who like, Jack Sparrow's got to be in this movie, even though like the best. He's good in one because he's less used in one, and he's like in the background kind of. The Jack Sparrow.
Yeah,
and it's mainly about like Will
Turner.
and
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. And then eventually they're like, people like fucking Jack Sparrow.
Whole
bring
movie
him in.
about him. Yeah.
And then in this movie, they're like, people like Tony. Put him in this movie. He was the guy who brought him in Civil War. Which I'm right. Like I would rather have had them be out of it because it looks like they were helping Shield, right? Was that a Shield ship? Was that a Shield ship at the end of the movie?
It was a Tony ship.
Was it? I thought it was
Shield.
Shield.
I thought it was an Avenger ship.
Yeah, because
He's still involved with Shield though, right? Like he's in the good side
no,
of Shield.
Shield's gone.
Shield's gone. Blank.
Shield's not gone.
Well, the TV
it
show.
is.
I mean, like
no, it isn't.
Shield?
Shield was in Civil War.
no, Shield's disbanded.
Yeah, what's his name? Martin Freeman plays an agent of Shield in Civil War.
Oh, you're right there.
Yeah, so I was going to say I'd rather
weird.
They should have brought Martin Freeman in this movie. Like they just
should've.
introduced him. This could have been a movie where he like, and he's been in comedic things. He's a comedic person. Like put him in this movie
Right.
as the foil, and like be the guy.
Try to shut down.
Like
Spider-Man.
Tony tells him, "Hey, can you do this for me? Watch this guy." You know what I mean? And I think that would have been funnier. Mainly because I like Martin Freeman more.
Awesome.
But also, like, I know he's going to be in Black Panther as that role, but I think he should be the new Agent Coulson. Like, he should be in these movies
Right.
doing these kind of things. Which also makes me kind of sad. The Agent Coulson's, like, gone, basically, unless you watch the TV show.
I bet if he doesn't come back in Avengers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they kinda,
that's
like,
some
forgot
fucking
about him.
bullshit.
Remember, he was the through line of all of them for a while.
Yeah, they
And then-
become Avengers because of him. He's like,
And then now he's gone.
they don't have anything to.
There's no way they don't know that he's alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At this point, they know he's around. If Thor can
If you
do
don't
some
see a
magic
scene
come
of
back
like
to Earth, he's
Robert Downey Jr. crying because Coulson's still alive, that's fucking wasted talent. What about supporting characters though? Like you got Ned / Genki.
he was pretty great.
He was pretty funny.
I thought all the kids were good.
Yeah.
You know what? My big problem with people writing kids is that sometimes they don't feel like kids. I thought they felt like kids.
Yeah.
Though, one issue I'll bring up, a lot of the music they were listening to was like older music, and I was like, that's not their music.
That doesn't make any sense.
It was a lot of 80s music, a lot of we had punk rock like from the 80s, and then when they walk into Homecoming, there's some song playing, just like an 80s song. And I was like, I don't think they're playing that song. They're playing, like some today's hits. They're playing,
Kanye West.
they're playing,
Jeez.
they're playing some, new music, some Katy Perry or something like that. And but they're like playing some 80s song. And I was like, it's not really an 80s theme song. You know what I
They were
mean?
probably doing that as Guardians and all that good stuff.
Well, they were trying to connect. You could definitely tell, and there was speculation. Ferris Bueller's Day Off was kind of what was one of their
Well, that's what I mean,
motivators,
yeah.
kind of thing. So,
And actually, that's a while back. I was saying before the spoilers happened that I like the movies mainly about Peter. And you're right. That's what it is. It's like a coming of age story. This is him coming to be the Spider-Man who has a shitty suit and that's just doing this for fun because he has powers, to being the superhero and like finally realizing what he can do. And like instead of in coming of age stories that's about a boy becoming a man, this is about a boy becoming a superhero. And I like that. Those are the strongest parts, I think, especially when he gets rid of the suit and he starts going to school, starts answering those things. There's a moment like that in Spider-Man 2 when he gives up being Spider-Man. But in this movie, with the music, with the way it was framed and everything, I thought it was like I was like, oh, I felt relief along with him. I was like, finally, this fucking guy can do what he wants. He can do, but then he was like, I can't. He's like, I still got to be Spider-Man. Yeah. Like, and that was also good because I was like, because that's who he is. Right. He needs to be a hero.
Yes, yeah, I would have been very mad if he would have accepted Tony Stark's offer because then he would not learn, because that's kind of his learning moment. I have responsibility to stay grounded. Let's just go with that. Yeah. To stay in this area. It's like, it's my responsibility to take care of the little guy. And so if he didn't have any, because, we don't have Uncle Ben, so we don't have that instilled sense of, because that's what Spider-Man is. Yeah. I need my responsibility. That responsibility makes me who I am. Responsibility or die. It's kind of hit, it's like, with great power must come great responsibility, which they don't say those words. It's not going to go to Uncle Ben's origin. Blech. But
though Alex is kind of right. They kind of try to put it into Tony's mouth by saying, if you're nothing without that suit, then you shouldn't have it at all. It's kind of the same thing. So,
but I kind of was feeling like when I felt that, I kind of felt like Iron Man 3 is like, hey, I just learned this lesson. I'm Tony Stark. I'm Stark. I'm Iron Man. I just learned this a movie ago.
Don't act like you knew, Tony.
Yeah.
You could have been like, hey, how was that way to you? But like, this is what happened, That's the thing. Like, the mainly I was like, why is this guy like being such a dick to this kid? Like, why? And then he's like, I could be your mentor. No shit, you could have been the mentor of the whole movie. Rather than
I got sick of him saying, I feel like I'm like my dad. I'm like, we know you hate your dad.
Yeah, oh yeah, I
Shut
hated
the
that part.
fuck up.
That's what I was like. It's not about your movie time.
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, it also felt like it was.
It would take me out of it. I'm like, okay, we clearly saw that you were upset in Civil War that your parents died, but they had a shitty relationship with your dad, so just shut the hell up.
Yeah, I just felt. I know they included it to be more of the MCU, but I think it felt involved enough that I didn't need you also to put those two in it.
Right.
Like, put somebody else in it that's been in these movies. Fuck, put Maria Hill in it to be his foil. Like, that would have been fine too.
She's in the
she's comedic,
the Spider-Man comics right now, even Maria Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of being like...
Give her more to do. Yeah.
Her, like... I mean, for Miles, just being like, yo, what the hell you doing? The happy role that should have been.
Hey, Corey, did you get that... oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you can ask him.
I'm just going to ask, did you get that Homecoming interlude comic, 4 issues?
No.
Okay.
Because I have never done an interlude comic since Transformers
Who has?
Revenge
I'm
of the
trying to
Fallen.
find somebody who has.
It's like I
Is it
refuse.
worth it ever?
Because I watched, because I read that Revenge of the Fallen for Transformers things, which I should have just known in hindsight that Revenge of the Fallen was going to be garbage.
Well,
but-
Transformers 1 was good. So.
No. Transformers 2, though.
I know, that was
just
a
like-
prelude.
it
So
just didn't
you
s-
assume that's going to be a good movie until you found out it was absolute shit.
I only had two
Anyway.
gripes with character choice, and it's the other. I don't know if it's necessarily a cliffhanger, but there's a certain initials given off that just. I hope she's not the character.
With Michelle.
I hope Michelle is not actually Mary Jane.
You know what I found funny? In the theater, it wasn't just you guys, because I heard you guys audibly like, oh, okay, she's MJ. I heard a lot of people do that. But I found it funny throughout the whole movie, people were laughing along with her, being like, oh, this girl's funny. She's like nice, I like her character. And then when they're like, oh, she's MJ, people were like, nah. Like, she's not.
Because that's not MJ's character. That's where...
She's kind of like that in Ultimate. We talked about this before. A little.
Barely.
No,
But
she's not like
She's
rebel.
nerdy.
But
She's not rebel.
nerdy,
Yeah, right,
but she's not
But she's friends with
rebellious.
Peter. She's like the same kind of person.
So I guess
rather
that
than
could
being the
be a
model.
blend of the Amazing, because an Amazing Mary Jane's, a rebellious partier kind of thing, but then, in Ultimate, she's a smart.
But the thing we talked about before the podcast started, before you got here, is that she says her name is Michelle. So it's not even Mary Jane. Her name is Michelle. So it feels like they're just being like,
We have
the MJ parts to be like, this is going to be his love interest. Michelle's to be like, this is a new character.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's supposed to be that, but I think the MJ parts to be like, so it could still be Peter and MJ, but it's not going to be Mary Jane. It's going to be Michelle, whatever her last name is.
If they pull it off well in the next movie... because
She was funny. I liked her.
She was, but I
lot.
mean, now you put all this baggage out there. It might not be
You're
MJ.
right. And I agree with that.
Yeah.
It should have just been Michelle. Why have MJ and put that baggage on it?
They did it just
Why
for the
link it?
sake of,
Yeah. It felt like
Robin from Dark
Story
Knight
Knight Rises.
Rises.
I was going to say.
My name's Robin.
It's like the whole time I was like, man, Jordan Gordon-Levitt's good in this movie. He's a good part of this movie. And then they're like, why don't you go by your real name, Robin? And I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah,
I hate you now,
right.
but you're in the whole movie.
Yeah.
But that one, it was more because that film were shoot in. This one, I was like, okay, well, at least for me, I was like, okay, that's going to be his love interest.
Right.
But I didn't think being like, oh, that's going to be the same person that we know. I just thought she's already established who she is the whole movie.
Oh,
Right.
well, I for some reason I don't think he's actually going to like her because the whole time he never.
She likes him. It's
He never.
different.
I know.
Yeah.
She likes him.
She like stalks him.
He could have given.
She goes for
He
attention
could have given
because
two
he's in
shits
there.
about her.
I know that's the and actually it's that we talked about this and I keep bringing this up week to week. So go listen to our special report, Lazarus Contract, and we actually kind of talked about this last week about the news about Flash. Actually, how do you think about Flash? You like him in the movie?
He was annoying as shit.
Oh
Yeah,
no. That was my other character that bugged me. Yes, he's a jackass, but he's not the jock jackass. He's actually not
He's
as
smart.
as.
That's what I mean.
Peter.
There's a lot
And
of people who are different.
and that's it kind of bugged me. It was the wrong kind of bully though.
Well,
Like, he's
see, in this
always
movie,
a bully.
in Amazing, and Corey, feel free to correct me because my Amazing knowledge is very limited.
It's not amazing.
But you're right. He's the jock. He's more picking on him because nerds and jocks. In this movie, it more felt like he was picking on him and tearing him down because he was like, I can't be him. Like, I'm jealous of this kid.
yeah.
All right.
And rather than being like, I'm better than this kid, he's like, I wish I was better than this kid. So I'm going to make it that everybody hates him instead.
And use the fact that Peter's always absent doing stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, it was one of those things. I liked Flash, but it's not the Flash that I am used to.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It feels like very like they're doing their own thing for these people.
Yeah.
And you're right. Maybe then it shouldn't be Flash. Maybe it should be somebody else. But then at a certain point, I mean, to be a Spider-Man movie, I guess you have to have the characters. And that's what we talked about in our special report. Is it okay to use the characters but then use them in a totally different way they've been used before? Or do you just make new people? And I usually be like, oh, that's not the person I know. But for a movie, I think I can give it a little leeway.
Well, I've always known Flash as a bully. As my
Yeah, he's still a bully. So his core
knowledge,
character is
yeah.
still there. It's just a different kind, like you said. Different kind of bully.
But the weird thing is that
It's 2017, baby.
they're both in what club are they in? The Decathlon.
Yeah,
And
Academic
Flash and
Decathlon.
Peter are sitting the way Corey and I are sitting, side by side. They're not even apart because one's a jackass and one's like, well, I don't want anything to do with you. We're still a team. It's that he's jealous of me for being awesome.
I mean, even at a certain
so
point, if Peter's not there, he's the lead.
Yeah.
When Peter showed up, he's like, oh, you're first alternate again.
gets pissed off instantly.
So even in that part, I was kind of like, this dude's getting kind of fucked over. Like, Peter doesn't deserve to be the lead. He's never there, like you said. This kid's there every practice they have. He really should be the lead.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was one of those things that, is he my Flash Thompson? No. Is he a decent Flash? Yes. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be in love with Spider-Man like he normally is.
And
For the
he's never
fact
gonna
that
be.
Spider-Man stole his car and then scratched the shit out of it.
Do we think we'll have him as Agent Venom anytime soon?
no.
That's what I was going to ask too. Also, so they have Scorpion, Shocker, and Vulture in this movie, the Tinkerer. Do you think that so Sony announced they're making their own Venom movie, they're making their own Carnage movie? Does that mean that they're never going to be part of these movies?
Oh, I feel like they're going to change their mind on that. They have to. It's like you saw the potential. Would, without Marvel's writing, without their help and their assistance, would it be the movie it is?
Once the money rolls
Yeah,
in,
Marvel.
Yeah.
I
Then
mean,
they can be
Sony's going to be. I mean, Marvel. Yeah, can have some leverage then, being like, "Hey, you
Look what
want
we
our
made.
help?"
This just gets us one step closer to that Fox, Sony, MCU connection movie. It's going to happen.
Fox would never do that because X-Men makes them too much money.
But if they connected with the MCU and Sony, just because kind of as just a gathering event, they're all good, and if they split the profits through,
We're all greedy
40,
bastards.
40,
That's what I
20,
mean, yeah.
with 20 going to Sony.
Now I was under a misunderstanding. I thought when you guys said they're doing a 5 Spider-Man movie that I didn't think included Civil War and the two.
Yeah, there's only two
yeah,
Spider-Man
yeah.
movies.
and there's only going to be
Spider-Man
2
movies.
Spider-Man. So
Civil War, Avengers 1, 2, Spider-Man, Homecoming, and Spider-Man.
And I was wrong because I was thinking, oh my god, if they're going to do 5 movies, they have the possibility to do a Sinister Six movie.
Oh,
Because when they didn't kill
need to
Vulture
pull that
off.
off.
And
they can always renew contracts.
I know, and they could always add more to it. So I was actually kind of excited, and I had misinterpreted Vulture's telling Scorpion, I don't know who he is.
You know what's good though?
Because if I did know, he would be dead.
Civil War was what, last year?
Yeah.
Homecoming this year. Avengers 1 and 2 are the next 2 years. And then Spider-Man 2 will probably be the next year. So you get
19.
5 years of Spider-Man. You don't just get, the other movies took so long to come out. By the end, Tobey Maguire was like this fucking old dude.
I'm 40.
Yeah.
And now you can at least, because Tom is what, 1920, I think?
I thought it was 18
21. Tom Holland's 21.
21.
Stalker
So
right here.
I believe Tobey Maguire, when he started, was 26. So by the time they're done with these, he'll be Tobey Maguire's age. And then maybe you can get college Spider-Man. You know what I mean? So you can advance to the next part of the story.
If you guys think about this, going back to the Sinister Six point, okay, so we already have a Vulture and we have a Scorpion potentially, but then we have the Venom and Carnage movie. So let's say they did cross over and come into it. Then you have those two added into the roster. Then you got Kraven and Mysterio. And, even if you don't do the Venom and Carnage, you still got, let's say, just, more chances to introduce whoever's going to be in Homecoming 2 if it's not Scorpion to do a
I would much rather
Sinister
see
Six.
not Venom and Carnage come in. I would much rather see you've got Shocker, you've got Vulture, you've got Scorpion.
Shocker's can't be in the Sinister Six.
Why not? Flash is not a sports
he
bully.
just can't.
So
Because-
Wait, who's the original Sinister Six? Vulture, Scorpion.
Vulture, Chameleon,
Chameleon.
Electro,
How's that character not
Rhino,
used?
Mysterio, Kraven.
I don't know.
I'm
Chameleon?
probably screwing that
That'd
up.
be a great.
he probably was in this movie, just didn't know it.
I'm not saying I'm not saying Shocker's a bad villain, by the way, Al. I'm just saying that he's that he's that
Bottom tier.
bottom tier.
Yeah, but that
He
doesn't
always
even make
beats
more
up
sense.
That's
You're
why he
bringing
was
all
in
these
Superior Foes.
So they could do a Sinister Six with what they have. I'd rather have a Sinister Six with
I'd rather-
villains than
True.
Sinister Six with bring in Yosemite Sam and been like, woohoo.
By the
I'm a
way,
villain.
That'd be ridiculous.
Speaking
Yeah.
of Sinister Six, so Amazing Spider-Man 2, the one with Andrew Garfield, for people who don't know, you can obviously tell they were setting up Sinister Six. They're
Yeah.
like, in this movie, even though there's Scorpion and Vulture, and they were like other villains, and he's like, hey, I got some people waiting on the outside. I never felt being like, oh, the fuck, they're setting up Sinister Six already. I was like, okay, these guys obviously would be in jail, and obviously they're going to get help to go after Spider-Man when they're out. Maybe not Vulture, because he said he wasn't interested in that anymore.
Right.
But still, like, it made sense. Like in the Sony movies, it also felt forced. But this one, I was like, okay, yeah, it feels like a continuation of this story. Oh, by the way, also, if they don't bring Venom and Carnage in, they still got the people to play with.
Yeah,
they can
they
bring
got
Kingpin
plenty.
in. Like, this is the Marvel Universe. You know what I mean? Kingpin. They could even like bring Punisher in if they wanted to. Like, there's all these things you could do. You could bring Spider-Man. They probably wouldn't because of CGI, but they could bring him into those shows if they wanted to. Defenders. He could fucking make a cameo. It's all possible now.
Yeah.
It probably won't happen because he's got that 5 movie deal, but still.
But then again, Tom Holland said that there's going to be a Spider-Man trilogy, and so that there's going to be 3 movies of Spider-Man.
Tom Holland also was never given the Avengers Infinity War script because Marvel
He's a
said
spoiler king.
he said he's a spoiler king.
Damn.
He's young.
Question for you guys, and I guess more for you. We were talking about it maybe yesterday or not, maybe the day before at the comic book shop. What if they do make Scorpion? Are they going to make it the Ultimate Scorpion where he's got a chain and a hook? Or are they actually going to let him be the tech guy and he's stuck in the suit?
Please have the green outfit.
It better be that green outfit, Amazing Spider-Man. If it's that stupid gangster ball and chain thing,
Well, see, I don't need the pincers. I just need the tail, and I need him to be in a mech suit.
Yes,
They've obviously got the technology to do a mech suit of some kind.
It's like I hate that like all these movies with the villains feel like they need to realistically show the villain.
That's what I mean. It's like Vulture. He never referred to himself as Vulture ever.
Yeah, and so it's like I want to see like what is so wrong. Like let's go back to Amazing Spider-Man 2 with the Rhino. What would have been so wrong with giving him that hide suit?
Yeah.
And just plowing through people.
Or at least give him the good mech suit that he had.
Yeah.
Let him be. But I mean, he's not necessarily stuck in the. Well, he is stuck in the hide, isn't he?
Yeah.
But at least in the mech suit, he looked like Rhino, and he even had this face that looked like a person. Let him be in the android suit that he was in, not this bullshit that they gave you. This tactical tank.
Yeah.
Bring the Batmobile and run him over.
Well, it's like Green Goblin looking like a Power Ranger in the first
That
one.
was
Why
ridiculous.
couldn't he have a cloth outfit? That would be. Think about how much money you would have saved too. Give him that freaking like.
Oh, if you would have made
cap.
him like the actual goblin,
Yeah.
like with the goblin face.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, man.
Why not?
The reason why
still love the
I don't
Green
know if
Goblin.
there's a reason for more of these changes. I think more of these changes now that they do it is because they don't believe that people who have seen the movies would believe it, or they think it was laughable. I mean, they even make a joke in this movie, which actually is not part of the bottom. He's like, "The Shocker, what are you, some wrestler? Like, what's with that fucking name? It's horrible." And I was like, "All right, like,
Yeah, it's too
just like in we talk about it all the time. Like in Flash, they embrace it. The Flash TV show, they embrace that kind of goofiness. Like it's fucking metas. Like they know, like instead of being like, "Oh, it's Killer Frost," they're like, "Yeah, I'm Killer Frost," and that's what I want from these movies. Is eventually we come to a point where it's like, "Yeah, I'm fucking Vulture." Like you're fucking with Vulture. You know what I mean? It's rather than having him have like a mech kind of suit.
I did have a gripe with Shocker's gear. He's not okay. Explain it to me.
He's not dead. He'll be back.
No, I'm not mad that I'm not saying he's dead. I know he got hit into a bus, whatever.
You want his full outfit though.
No, I want his powers to be legitimate. It seemed to give him increased strength, but it wasn't like when he's showing or throwing the
Like shockwaves.
Yeah, the shockwaves. That's what I wanted.
Where he doesn't even have to punch him, where he can send the sonic
Throws
blast.
it at you.
Yep.
That's what I wanted.
Maybe he falls into a pit of that alien stuff, and then it's.
I didn't think you would be so hung up on the Shocker. Who likes the Shocker?
I love
Shocker,
the Shocker.
no, Shocker's great, but it's like, I saw how they did the realistic approach with the glove, but it's like, Alex is right. If they would do the Shocker with the
If it had been-
blast.
You know who I love?
He didn't have to do it the first time. I get that, but maybe he got the second one finally, and he goes, maybe if I charge this thing up, I can throw it.
But hey, he's how he's that bottom tier. Don't ever rule out that in the second movie he could come back.
And that's my thought, is
Kind of
that-
like Crossbones in Civil War.
It's just one of those things. I like the Shocker. It goes Craven,
Crossbones,
Shocker.
who dies in Civil War within 2 seconds. But
No, I'm saying how he comes back.
I
like
understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if they bring Shocker back, they're still saying he might die right away too.
Yeah, bring him back to be an actual threat. Not
Yeah.
like.
No, bottom tier.
No, but even a bottom tier gets the best of you sometimes.
Yeah.
I thought also, speaking of like when I was talking about the humor in this movie, it was a good job they brought in like Donald Glover's a comedian, or he's done comedic things. I really like the Prowler, especially Ultimate Prowler, a lot. I love Miles' uncle and that story. That story's really great.
We know more about his uncle than we know about Miles. Sorry, that's a whole other discussion.
So when I saw him in this movie, and I thought he did a really good job in this movie. He had some funny lines. Hannibal Buress was the gym coach. He's a comedian also. So like he had funny lines, and like he was very they knew where to pull for Martin, a star who was the teacher, who was the decathlon teacher. Was very funny in this movie. So like I like that they knew, like, instead of writing funny lines and like just giving it to random people, they're like, let's get some comedians. Like they know how to deliver these lines.
Oh, another came in. I don't know if you caught. I saw this in an article. I didn't catch this. The principal.
I caught it. I pointed at you during the movie.
Oh, really? Yeah, the principal is the like grandson or descendant of the Howling Commando in Captain America.
Yeah, his picture of his grandpa's on the thing.
I saw that picture and I was like, that looks familiar. And I stared, but it was like 2 seconds and it was gone.
Yeah,
that's a nice tie-in. Yeah, Captain's the movie also. Chris Evans has been in every single Marvel movie since. No, he's been in a Marvel movie at least once a year since he started.
Oh, so he's not been in every movie.
No, he's been in every one though. Like he's been in one every year. So even though there's no Cap movie that came out this year, and he won't be in Thor. Or
they're probably keeping him happy. Like, hey, we'll give you a bunch of money.
He loves doing it.
He does.
This one,
there was that time where
he was talking about like contract disputes.
Yeah.
Corey, did you get going?
Well, I mean, what else do we got to talk about? I mean, I
just got one question for you guys while you're still here. Did you like?
I'm saying
Vulture's...
probably to wrap this.
Oh, okay. If we're wrapping it up, yeah.
Did you like Vulture's suit? Were you okay with it?
That it had the fluff, it's like I'm always gonna want, like I was telling you before, like you want mech suit for Scorpion and stuff.
Corey, you can't. That Vulture suit's horrible and amazing. It's too old.
Then I would be the only person in that audience being crying and be like, hell yes.
I loved this suit where it
had
had
to see some Martin Keaton.
I was the jacket part, the actual the fan kind of thing was like. I wish it was just like wings and propeller, like a propulsion thing rather than the fan thing.
Using the alien.
But it made sense.
I guess to me it makes sense, and I know logic. Actually, it even scientifically made sense that you would use these to move back and forth. That it wasn't wings having to flap. Yeah. But I love that suit.
So
I love the bomber jacket. I did love the fluff, and I love that his mask. I'm going to cover my mouth. Actually, kind of looked like a beak. I don't know why I told you I was going to cover my mouth when I opened it.
So I think we all agreed, good movie. There's some things, obviously you listen to the last hour, there's some things we don't like about it. But it didn't ruin it enough for me not to go see it. I don't think it ruined enough for you guys to be like, this is a bad movie.
I want to see it again, because I think my thing is I was expecting, I made a mistake. I got too excited for it, and I went in expecting
Let me set up for you guys. This guy earlier in the day was like, I'm getting too hyped for this
he was
movie.
like jumping balls at like 11 o'clock.
I kept it down low. I was like, the movie's going to be shit. Turned out to be good.
I talked to him. I said stuff that I was getting excited, and I look at the toys at work.
I was hyped like
Let me ask
forever.
you all a question, starting with Corey, and then we'll go this way, and you be last. To end this review. So,
I can talk about it this
keep it short. But what do you hope to see? Like, we're going to do 5, not about like future Spider-Man movies, but this 5-movie arc. We have Avengers 1 and 2, and then Spider-Man 2, which they said is going to be like the brand new start for Spider-Man. Something happens in Avengers, obviously, too, something where they need to restart. And that it's like, they claim that these 22 movies, because by the end of Infinity War Part 2, it'll be 22 MCU movies. That's the first arc, they said, of their story. And Spider-Man 2...
Holy shit.
Spider-Man 2, this is what Kevin Feige said in an interview. Spider-Man 2 is the start of the new arc. So, what do you hope to see when we get Spider-Man 2? What do you hope? Where are we going to be at?
I just, what I want is they can do whatever they want with the Avengers or anything like that. I just give me more Spider-Man's world. Anything and everything you can give me into that world, whether it's the Daily Bugle, J. Jonah Jameson, any other supporting characters. It's like you have this toolbox. Like Spider-Man's world is so crazy huge. Like in his little area, there's so many things that you can pull in to make it an amazing Spider-Man, pun intended, universe. And so I think they should go into that world more and more.
Also, I forgot to mention, Kevin Feige also said that the Infinity War movies are like, Peter Parker plays a big part in it. Like it's like his, like, even though it's Avengers, he's the main thrust or something like that of the movies.
He's the access point to it.
He's the part that like is the through line through those movies that leads to Spider-Man 2. That's why his is the first movie afterwards. Garrett, what do we hope?
I don't know. I mean, I think with kicking off with Spider-Man, he's probably going to be left over from a traumatic event. The Infinity Wars, like it's got a lot to take on. So I hope that going into the second arc, maybe it's time to bring in some new Avengers. Basically, like he could be the lead. He could be the Captain America of this team of younger heroes, kind of thing. So I mean, they're doing that in the comics right now. I feel like, hey, you had 22 movies with a core group. I mean, we all know they're not going to stay there forever unless you're going to go through recasting hell. So this is your perfect opportunity to bring in some new heroes, new teams, and get us excited for a new type of superhero.
Alex?
I think what my hope is with Infinity War is that there's stakes. Is that not meat? But I actually, I guess I hate to say I want to see people die, but I want to know that
somebody's going to die.
No, I know, but I want to see that these characters.
Hold on. I don't.
Shut up.
I just wanted to say, we talked about this before. Is that like in Civil War when Rhodey doesn't die, he just gets paralyzed? We were like, he should have just died. Yeah. Like there needs to be some sort of stakes. You can't always just like go to the edge and be like, nope, never mind, we didn't do anything.
Iron Man can bring you back.
So
I want to see, and I'm not saying I want to see characters die. Obviously, Spider-Man would not be an option, and I'd hate to see Captain die.
Damn right.
But there are characters that not necessarily need to go. There needs to be something that happens. There needs to be someone who does die. There needs to be loss of these heroes because they're not indestructible. There's no indestructible Hulk. He's more likely the Incredible Hulk. Someone needs to die, and I guess that's my thing. Is I want to see
Adios, Vision.
Well, and that's fine. Vision can die. Scarlet can die. Anyone can die, and I want to know that that's a possibility. Then again, give me new teams. Then that's fine.
I like your observation that Spider-Man. I know he can't die. Of course, Spider-Man 2 comes out after.
He probably can't die unless we're bringing in Miles.
I was gonna say
3 years from now, Miles comes in.
They did say new direction.
He can handle Scorpion. Then we're going to get the.
I wouldn't like that. Actually, I was talking about that with a coworker at work today. I wouldn't want Peter just to be in 3 movies and then it's like, oh, Miles is here. Like, let Peter do his thing for a while so that like whenever he does, and I hope he doesn't die.
Or if he like gives up the main
I hope he just gives it up and
yeah.
turn the Spider-Man No More storyline to him just giving it to Miles.
Like
instead.
maybe when he's going to college, it's like, hey, your turn.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
I think I want it to be where Peter is pissed off the bad guys, and that these bad guys, and maybe Miles still wears the regular spider suit, what Peter has, and so that's why he ends up having to fight these guys that have already been established. Then eventually he's like, fuck, I need a new suit. Then they keep tearing this one up. Here's my black and red.
I just hope the only thing I hope from those 2 movies leading to Spider-Man 2 is that we get more moments like him under the rubble, like proving that he's a hero rather than him just being the funny guy. I do like it. Was like I said, it's hilarious. I love the movie, especially him like running through the golf thing when he couldn't swing. There's moments like that that's funny, and especially Civil War, he's the quippy guy. That's who he is. Yeah. But there also needs to be a moment because there's a moment in spoilers for Infinity Gauntlet if you haven't read it yet. There's a moment, I think it's Infinity Gauntlet, right? Where Captain, have you read it?
I still need to get it.
Yeah, I've read it.
Garrett has it. No, I haven't read it, but go ahead.
Isn't there a moment with Cap, like where everybody's like on the ground, taken out by Thanos? He has a Infinity Gauntlet, and he goes, "Who dare say up to me?" And then Captain goes, you still have me to go through." And like that's the moment you're like, "Fuck, did like Cap still going?"
It's fair. I haven't read it.
I'm pretty sure
that's what happened.
It's been a while since I read it too. I should reread it. That's fucking amazing.
If that's how it goes,
I think I'm going to buy it from the shop in the next couple
Infinity
months.
Gauntlet, by the way, George Perez art's really great. But they could, because we've had Cap moments like in the movies, right? That should be Spider-Man's moment. You know what I mean? Like that's the moment where it's like he now is proving, like you said, he can be the Cap of this universe.
This is what needs to happen. Last thing I'll say about Spider-Man. So in Amazing Spider-Man 2, he grabs that manhole cover and spins it at Rhino. Do that with the fucking shield.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying you still have me to go through.
I thought you were going to say he
grabs that manhole.
He shoots the manhole up and throw it at Thanos and be like, "Fuck you, you're done."
I just figured it's like that's your nice tie of here's Captain. Then Spider-Man's taken over, chucks it right at him.
Kind of like a passing of the torch.
Kind of.
Yeah.
If nothing else, it brings the team together still going. It's not just Spider-Man going at him. There's a team effort fighting.
Pretty sure, though, then after that happens, Thanos brings his shield, though, so.
How dare you fucking chuck it?
So, like, going off of that real quick, I know we're trying to end the segment part here, but, like, where he...
This is going to be a whole fucking show of Spider-Man.
Where he, like, I just got goosebumps right there, because, like, the original team in part 2, let's say, like dying, and then that new team needs to take up the mantle. So I could totally picture like a heartbroken Peter looking up to these mentors like Iron Man, Captain America, and then getting demolished by Thanos, and then him having to step up and be like, okay, there's nobody. Like the same thing with the concrete or the demolition part where he has to lift the building off of him, or the part I can't talk because it's too exciting, but he has to take this up. He has to step up and kick Thanos' ass.
Did I just say
Literally.
Literally. Goosebumps.
Possibilities. One more thing we'll end on this. I just want to hear your answer. That's it. That Spider-Man 2 movie, who do you want to be for the villain to be?
Since we're not going to have Green Goblin, I'll go for Hobgoblin.
Garrett.
I know they're going to do Scorpion. That's what they're setting up. But I would also go for Hobgoblin. I think that's out of the wheelhouse. That's good.
Alex.
I'm straightforward for Scorpion. I'm fine with that. Because it's a character I've never seen before. He's never been done before.
I'm hoping that is going to simmer a little bit because he's still in jail. He's got people on the outside. And maybe we can actually finally have like a Mysterio movie. I would love to see Mysterio.
No, they are going to be doing a Kraven and Mysterio movie. That's already been announced.
When?
What do you mean?
I saw that.
What are you asking about?
No,
what are you talking?
They announced that they're going to be making not only the Venom movie, they're going to be making a Kraven movie.
Holy
and a
fuck,
Mysterio
Sony's
movie.
just...
Everything.
Who do we have? Who do we have?
I thought you guys knew that.
I didn't know that.
So that's why I didn't
saw
think
something about
Are they
it.
just saying that shit so that Marvel's like, oh, guess we can't use them.
That's why I was thinking you're not going to see any hints from
But they're
them.
never going to make those fuck. Here's my theory. They're never fucking making Venom. They're never making those movies. They're just saying that so that when they say to Marvel, like, this movie makes tons of money, they go, hey, Marvel, you want to buy the whole thing? And they're like, oh, yeah, we'll buy the whole thing. Well, we were planning on making these movies, so you're going to have to pay our projected costs or projected profits from these movies. Like, people want to see these movies.
$5 quadrillion.
And then I hope Marvel goes.
They're trying to increase attention to
Value.
these
Douchebags.
value.
Look how much money we made making your movies. Give us the characters for this cost. Problem solved. Here's $10 extra.
We're that easy.
That's been the review for Spider-Man Homecoming. Great movie. Go see it. It's the last Marvel movie until Thor Ragnarok, which comes out November?
November 17th.
What the fuck? How do you
November
know
17th.
I believe that is
that?
true.
11, 17, 17?
You know what?
11-17. Go see it. I really like it a lot. 9, 8. No, what do you say?
Yeah, I gave it 9.
9, 8, and 9.
I tell you what, everyone, change it from last night. I talked to Marvel. I needed to talk to somebody.
Last night you acted like you hated this movie.
Because I think
He
it's one of
always
those
does that.
No, but there's movies I like. I like Power Rangers. I'm just saying this is one of those movies I went into it going. I expected something, and I was
Since maybe it's going to be simmer today.
and so you tell me
think
last
about
night,
it.
think it over. It's like, the more I thought about it, it's like there's
Actually, I
things
did say that to me when we were leaving. He's like, I feel like I really want to talk to this movie. I go, well, think it over and write down some things.
Yeah.
When I go see it for time number 5, you can come with me.
I want to go see it again. Yeah.
Like I didn't write anything down, but it was one of those I thought about it last night and this morning on my walk. I was like, you know what?
Here's a pro tip. If you want to see it for cheap on Tuesday nights, it's cheaper. It's $5, I think.
Damn it, I work.
Oh, okay.
Same.
Bro date.
Leaving or staying?
Leaving.
All right. Thank you, Corey.
All right.
flip,
Hashtag
flip.
guest host
Gonna
1.
flip out of here. Flip you later.
See you later, guys.
See ya.
Is that your thing?
I think so. Yep.
Hello.
See you later.
Whoa.
Guest host 1.5.
All right. Hashtag SOS1.
You can follow Corey on Twitter. He's at Corey Walls. Rainbow Comics and Cards. Looking for comic books, collectibles, board games, or any sports memorabilia or sports cards. The only place you need to shop in Sioux Falls or Lincoln, Nebraska. Visit their Facebook page, facebook.com/Rainbow Comics and Cards, or their Lincoln location at Rainbow Comics and Cards, Lincoln. Or find them online anytime at rainbowcomicsandcards.com. You know what? That went really long. That went almost an hour and 20 minutes. So
Holy shit, really?
skip free talk and go through reviews, you think?
Oh, yeah, there's no free talk needed.
I don't have anything else to talk about anyways. Actually, I think that was a really good discussion. There's a lot of things that I think that we got out that I think actually the things that you guys mentioned about that movie that you didn't like, I actually agree with a lot, especially like the Iron Man stuff and the no, some things you said I don't agree with, but
Like what?
the character changes, I really don't. I mean, if the especially with MJ, that it feels like maybe that's a new person.
Well, I'm just like, honestly, talking to you guys going, okay, maybe they just went for a different direction. It's like, okay, I get that.
As long as they
And
keep it that way
And
in
that
the
it's
next
not,
movie.
well, actually, my name is
oh,
Mary.
Shocker too. I don't really. Yeah, I thought he was okay.
Well, you guys don't give a shit about Shocker. I
Shocker's
like
the fucking worst. That's why. Who gives
No,
a shit?
you know the worst.
Who's the worst Spider-Man villain?
But honestly, I
I
don't
think Vulture, but not anymore.
honestly, this made me really like Vulture. It actually did make me dislike Shocker more because they didn't do anything with him other than he was just some thug with some gear.
We better get to these reviews.
Let's get to these reviews first. Up in the docket, Batman 26, written by Tom King, pencils, inks, cover by Mikhail Janin, colors by Jun Chung. This is the second part of the War of Jokes and Riddles. What do you guys think of? Let's quickly go back and just say the start of this. What do you guys think? 25.
I love this. This is cool.
I thought 25 was really good.
Yeah, I think it's a nice way to use the prose to tell like a truly haunting story.
I thought 25 was really good. 26 kind of took a step back for me.
26 felt a little long. Yeah. And it was actually, I think it was longer, right? It was 20. No, 25 was longer.
25 is longer. It set up the whole story.
Okay, well then 26 felt longer. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
Mainly.
A lot of exposition.
Yeah.
Trying to show like the sides and like, I think the worst part about this is the whole Batman's telling the story to Catwoman
I was going to say,
thing.
frame it as him telling the story rather than just showing us what happened.
Living it.
Yeah.
I think kind of hinders it a little bit because he's skipping parts.
Yeah.
And like then they got villains together and he's like, he kind of feels like he's going, and then this happened, blah, 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 blah. You don't need to know that part. And it's
right.
Like, so it feels a little weird.
I'd rather see Joker and Riddler recruiting these guys a little bit rather than just like, oh, they're on my team.
Well, I say I don't understand how the teams got assembled.
I think they
He
just
drew a
went
card.
they just went to
The
people.
straws you get.
Riddler went to people and was like, "You want to join my team?
Right.
Here's what's going on." But I feel like, especially at the end of this issue, when he's like, "Here's the people who died," you should show in the background. It's mainly going to be about, another reason why he doesn't want to be Batman anymore. He's like, "I'm supposed to be saving people, but obviously, look what happened. Like, all these people die."
Right.
So I think that's what's supposed to be the point of this. I don't know why it's framed around this war or Joker Riddle, why they act like it's some big epic we're going to hear about when it's mainly seems like it's in the background of him telling his story. So it really should have just been. I think it should have been framed that way. Yeah, I don't like how it's being told. The art's really great.
Holy shit. The way Janin draws Joker, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of Joker not being able to smile? What do you think of that?
I like the problem that they're having that you get from 25 is that Joker can't laugh. There's nothing that makes him laugh. And that Riddler is... There's a question that Batman can always answer that Riddler can never beat him in a game of minds. I was like, oh, okay, I respect that. Joker not being able to smile, that actually makes me feel really even scarier now that there's nothing that makes him happy.
Well, I like how Riddler explained the solution. The only way you'll be able to smile again, and I'll solve my riddle, is if we kill Batman together. And Joker's like,
nope,
nah,
you can't kill him.
I'm good.
Hey, did you get the reference in this issue to the first Batman movie? When Riddler's getting stitched up, it's like that whole same scene.
Right.
When Joker's getting his
Mind.
mirror. Give me the mirror. These are the only tools I had to work with.
That part I was kind of like, really, Tom King? Like, that? I don't know if that's okay.
Tom King does this thing, and he stopped for a little bit in Batman, and I thought it worked better. And actually, when it's framed not on Batman, like when Gotham Girl at one point was doing narration, he does a lot of narration.
Mm-hmm.
And this, like you said, the framing it as him telling the story, I don't think really works. And the narration kind of feels false a little bit. Like it doesn't feel. It does feel. I know you guys have been saying.
How can Bruce tell a story if you're getting first point of view narration?
Yeah, you're right. He's like, how did he know all this? Like, what's going on? He wasn't there for that moment. Did he really know?
Well, he does explain that he asked people questions and took evidence and stuff. But I'm still like, that's not enough to explain inner monologue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think it's good, but I wasn't blown away like I expected to be. I was like, whoa, War, Jokes and Riddles, let's go. Right. Especially, I thought the last few issues before this started were really strong. Yeah. 24 was fucking... By the way, we didn't talk about 24. I thought 24 was amazing. I'm going to put it down on my list of best issues.
We should have talked about it on the show.
It was... I read it and I was blown away. I was like, man,
I thought it was great.
This is really great.
That was 10s.
And then 25 and 26 were like more of... I mean, they weren't as great as that. And I think Tom King works well when he's like, let me tell his one issue. Like his one issue is a big great. But in terms of an arc, like especially when you're framing it as like this war, I just think it kind of fell flat.
Well, he planned to do this storyline. I bet he's kicking himself in the butt a little bit, thinking like if he didn't have to do this War of Jokes and Riddles, because like now the resolution of issue 24 you have to carry out until we get to that next interlude.
You know what? That makes sense. It feels like this is kind of the Catwoman and him telling her is kind of shoot in, like to make it part of what he's actually trying. The thing he's been.
Well, because
leading
like
up to.
they added an issue, they changed an issue way back when so that they could add another issue to the Catwoman Batman
you're right.
storyline.
That
So I wonder
Catwoman
if that
issue.
was too far gone. And then he's like,
He might
we'll
change
make it
course.
work. Yeah. And
You're right.
so-
Yeah, it did feel like it changed course and what the story was. And this does feel like if you look at the whole run, this feels like a Scott Snyder storyline, not a Tom King storyline.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, I 124 was really good. I wasn't okay. I was blown away to an extent. The end of that where he proposes to Catwoman, it's like holy shit, that took a way different turn than I would have expected. But then I'm also going, I guess I could see that coming. How much she's been in this book, how much he consistently chases her. It's like okay,
Well, I knew that before I read the issue.
well, you guys had it
it's-
spoiled.
We have the internet.
Got Captain America spoiled for us. So
Yeah.
I really am. I'm kind of disappointed in 25 and 26 because my big thing with the Infinity War. What's the stakes? You already know he's gonna win. You already know the outcome. He doesn't die unless these two villain teams end up killing each other. Which
What do you want? Medium rare?
I think what he's saying is like he's sick of the cliffhangers being in the past. Like, you know, with Catwoman, remember they dropped that line like, oh, I killed 300 people. And then they had to go back and explain what the fuck that actually meant.
Yeah.
That's the same thing we're getting with this whole storyline. Is like Batman's like, oh, I did something really bad. Here's 6 issues why. You know?
Yeah, I guess. The
But
thing,
it
the thing
only,
is,
yeah, I don't know.
the thing is also though, like if we're talking about Batman storylines, like Scott did a lot too. Scott would be like, "Here's a mystery, guys," and you get to the end and be like, "Okay, well, why do I need a whole year of a storyline to let me
Right.
know about 0 year? The things that happened during 0 year." And
That's
you're
true. That's true.
like,
I'm not comparing.
I'm gonna
it to
give 20. I'm gonna give 26 like an 8.
Yeah, I was saying eight.
Art is really strong. Story is kind of meh for me, but
25, I'd throw out a 9 because there's more
there's more
material
awe
to throw
value
out.
for me. In
Yeah.
that book.
29, I give it 25.
29.
I did give a 9. This one actually gave a 7.
Yeah.
24 was a 10 for me. It was like
24 's
It was
10s.
really great.
Best one since Batman vs. Bane. Issue 20
See,
or
now that
whatever.
one is a 10 for me. Is when Batman's
Yeah.
beating the shit out of Bane. That one I really enjoyed.
I actually believe all the Catwoman one shots with her and Bruce have been.
Actually,
really
that whole
good.
arc is great of Batman versus Bane.
It has. I just love them piss pounding.
Who else was in the art for 24 of Batman? Because it wasn't.
Mitch?
It wasn't just.
I thought it was Clay Bar. I thought Barrows was in there too. No, Clayman.
Clayman?
I mean,
Okay, I was gonna say there was the 2 artists in that book.
I can't remember.
Oh, it might have been Clayman.
Because
Might be right.
when Bruce is talking to, is it Claire?
Claire?
That I was like, oh, that's not the usual art. So we also got Daredevil number 23, written by Charles Soule, art by Alec Morgan, and colors by Matt Milla.
This is what's the storyline called?
Supreme.
Supreme Part 3.
You know what my favorite part of this issue is one, Kingpin talking to, is it Legal?
Yeah.
The punching bag scene
There's a
was
person in there.
awesome. Yeah, was awesome.
I thought that was really great.
When he goes in he's having an interview
Yeah.
with Legal, and he goes, "Well, the one thing you don't want to do is end up in the bag." And you watch this big pool of blood
Your
underneath
bag's
the bag.
bleeding, yeah.
Your
Body
bag's
bag.
got a leak.
By the way, 24 was just David Finch.
Was it really?
I just looked it up.
He must have
I thought it
changed his style then.
I just looked it up as David Finch.
Hmm.
You're right. I forgot it was David Finch. Daredevil 23 for me was a good story. I like this whole storyline. Daredevil 23 for me, Alec Morgan, sorry. But I do not like your art at all. The art was like,
For this issue?
yeah. For me, Matt Murdock's face was like so weird at times. There were times when his teeth would be like really pointy
Yeah.
and they like far apart, like he had gap teeth. And there was a part also where he like kind of looked like Woody Allen for some
Kinda,
reason.
yeah.
Like he's getting up, he's like, and he looks like he's like small. He's like, "Oh, watch out, guys. He's like moving past them. And then at the end, there's I mean, I thought it was only Matt that I didn't like. However, like I just read actually the last 3 issues. So this whole arc so far. I really like this arc a lot.
That's awesome.
You know what I love about this arc so much is that I know that Charles Soule is a lawyer. He owns a law firm. Is that there's a lot of legalities in this whole storyline. There's a lot of like, here's precedent for this case, and he's bringing up cases and bringing like, well, if I can prove this, you know what I mean?
Right.
And all of that, I don't have to think being like, is that true? Do
You know
think
it's
that's
true.
I know it's true. That's what and then so it feels like also I'm learning some legal things here and reading DD. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I found that 21 and 22 awesome. This 23 is kind of a step back with the change of art.
Yeah, the other two were Gordon. What's his name? Sadukas or something like that. His art. I actually grown to think his art's okay. I really do like instead. Who's the main artist?
Ron Garney.
Ron Garney.
He's been gone forever.
He's grown into it. Yeah.
I really we've grown to like Ron Garney's art, and then Gordon was like, "Oh, this is okay, but it's not Ron." And then we got Alec, and I thought it was gonna be the same thing where I was gonna be like, "This is okay, but it's not." Gordon. But I got it, and I was like, "Ooh, this looks kind of weird."
Yeah.
Do you want to get it for me back here?
The beginning was way better. And the thing that I guess I'm not enjoying too much, and this is super Alex of me, but like we just read that Kingpin series, and like Tombstone acts like he's never heard of Kingpin before. I'm like, you're the number one villain against Kingpin in that storyline.
Look at this shit.
Yeah, I know.
He looks like an elf.
It looks like a vampire.
But yeah, Tombstone's like, who? And you're Wesley? You look nothing like Wesley.
Here's the panel I told you. He's like, "Oh, watch out, guys!"
Yeah.
He's like hunched over. If you have Daredevil, turn to the issue. I think the coloring was great in this issue, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Minus the art, the pencils. I didn't think they were great, but the coloring I thought was great.
So what I want to hear because you don't read Hulk. What's your thing about Hulk? What do you think about Hulk?
I read this issue and I was like, "Hey, I should read Hulk."
Yeah, it's
interesting.
really good. I think thought you would.
I think you would enjoy this Hulk for the
I think
fact
I would.
it is more
I think
of
it was something
legal
that-
based.
By the time it was rolling along,
It's too far gone.
I was like, "What do you guys think about this? You guys have been hearing about this Hulk thing?" And I thought you guys weren't picking it up, and so you guys, "Oh yeah, it's been great. We've been reading." And I was like, "You guys are on it."
Yeah, because it's like the most Bruce Banner Hulk book you can get right now.
Without it being Bruce.
I like Jennifer a lot too, so
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like your old Charles Soule wrote her She-Hulk comic before, and it was kind of like this. It was about legal when she was a legal stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, she's a lawyer.
No, that's what I say. That's what a lot of. I'm too behind on it, but it's been a lot of her
Has it?
doing legal things.
It is, yeah. It's
being
just
a lawyer
it's her.
helping people.
She's trying to focus on being not Hulk, but things are making her become Hulk, and she doesn't want to be Hulk.
Yeah, I really
yeah.
like it. It made me
I
want to
can't
read
confirm nor deny that.
I'll probably catch up and read it, but
No, I'm not to that issue.
this one was
She's always looking in the mirror.
storyline wise. This one I thought was strong. Art wise, I thought
Yeah,
it felt like a fill-in person.
right.
So, 8 for me.
I'm gonna stick with the 7 because the art really was a downer for me.
I'm gonna go 8. I don't think the art.
It wasn't
like,
horrible. Besides,
I think
Matt,
since I read
think it
a
was
couple
horrible.
in a row like you did,
Yeah.
that the story was taking more precedence
Yeah,
in my head
maybe.
over the art.
I like the cover on this book.
I just thought Matt looked weird the whole time.
Yeah.
There's almost too much emphasis that his glasses are red.
Kingpin, by the way. I don't know if that's supposed to be sweat or like veins.
That first page didn't make it look like the Kingpin. I was like, Thug, and then it's Kingpin. Like this
Well,
first
I
panel
knew
where he's
this-
punching the bag. I was like, oh.
Well, the reason I knew his Kingpin is because he was twice the size of that beanbag.
Next, we got Nightwing number 24, written by Tim Seeley, pencils by Miguel Mendonca, colors by Chris Sotomayor. Blockbuster Part 3, I believe.
I didn't read this. It was just
You didn't?
No.
So we get Dick versus, Tiger
Jason.
Shark. Thank you. Versus Tiger Shark, basically. He's dealing with the fallout of the last arc where his girlfriend got kidnapped. And she, there's a little bit of fallout from everything from the previous arc. So, she can tell, Sean's her name, right?
Yep.
Defacer. She can tell that Dick's, kind of happy that he doesn't have a child. And she's pissed, basically. Because, Dick was basically oh, it would have been a mistake. And so, of course, he's like, well, I got to go save the day, so peace. And I was like, ooh, douchebag. And then she's starts crying and stuff.
But that wasn't in this issue.
Huh?
That wasn't in this issue.
In this one?
Yeah.
It was in the I know, but it's because this issue opens up with her friend coming in.
This issue starts with him talking to Jizz or Giz while he's trying to
Yeah,
fight.
the tech guy. That part's stupid. I hated that part, by the way.
Which part?
Where he's talking to Giz. But I'm
Oh.
saying there's a part with Sean where her friend comes in from
Yeah, where-
Pigeon shows up.
Yeah. No,
That's why I'm setting up. I'm setting up the exposition so
Yeah,
people
the
know
midway
what the
through
hell's
the
going on.
book.
Yeah. Whatever. I'm just saying. No one gives a shit about Giz.
No, but I care about how he's taking out everybody.
Yeah. Regardless. So the cliffhanger of last issue was that all these villains are trying to test out new weapons to use to kill superheroes. And then like Dick literally lands in the middle of the floor and is like, "What's up, guys?" And he's like, "And here's your target." So it's like basically Rumble Royale versus Nightwing. Can you give me any content here? Fill in the gaps.
I'm trying to think. Well, I already told. So he fights what? What's the guy? Vertigo.
Magog.
I'm glad you said
Fights
something. 'Cause I
Vertigo.
was like, why isn't Alex not talking?
Yeah.
Well, because I'm still trying to figure out the story he's telling me.
I was setting up
Kid
the
Amazo.
last issue to get you to the
Hey,
point
what
that
happened in
because there's
Super
like
Sons?
in Super
Is
Sons,
Amazo-
Kid Amazo's in it.
Okay, is he gone now?
No.
Okay,
He's still
well,
around.
You know my thing with he's in two places at once.
Oh no, I mean he's gone from the book.
Yeah, I know he's
currently.
not dead,
He's
but I mean,
not the current villain of the Super Sons book right now.
so at least he can be elsewhere now.
Yes, he can be more than one place.
Who's the? There's someone else. He's some demon pate thing.
How do you live knowing that Batman's in Batman Detective and Justice League?
do you know
and
how?
Trinity.
Well, to be fair,
Detective Comics.
to be fair, Justice League
All-Star
doesn't
Batman.
count. That's not Batman.
Who?
Justice League doesn't count. He's not Batman.
He's
at least JLL. I understand.
He's in JLA.
Power
He's
Rangers
Martian Manhunter.
That book's done, bro.
No, it's not. It's coming back. Sunday.
When? Sunday?
Undisclosed.
Nice.
TBD.
Sunday. It's coming back Sunday. You heard it here first.
I said someday, not Sunday. But anyways, back to Nightwing, the book we're reviewing.
How did that end? Oh, Blockbuster leaves him with the bomb.
Yeah, which that part so there was two parts. I hated the beginning. Basically, Dick was talking to one of the techie guys from his hero or his villain support group.
Yep.
And Gizmo was like dicking around with his computer, and it's obviously, like Bruce gave Dick like this great laptop that has like 32,000 gigabytes, which whatever, we got fucking terabytes now. Yeah, something like, I don't know if that was whatever. He was like freaking out, and
Hey, give me a trader.
Nightwing's on the comms with him, and he's like, "Remember, what's in rule number 1? Don't touch any technology." And he's like, "Fucking touching technology." Ending though, I didn't like how Blockbuster just like walks into Dick and's like, "You got to defuse this bomb." And how is like Dick Grayson not like punching him in the face real quick, being like, "Fuck you," and then I'm gonna defuse.
Yeah,
this
but
bomb.
when Blockbuster shows up, he's still Blockbuster. Then he takes the mutagen or whatever it is he takes, the serum, turns back into Ronald Weasley. I don't remember. I think it's Ronald, right? He's the brother to the original
Roland,
Blockbuster.
maybe
Roland? There you go.
I don't
No,
know,
you're right, Roland.
And so and then he goes into escape pod, says,
But he goes, I know you're going to stay. I know even though you beat the shit out of these guys, you're still going to save them from dying. So
Right.
thanks. And
Yeah,
leaves.
which was kind of cool, but at the same time pissed me off. I was like, kind of cliche.
Yeah.
And then the issue cliffhangs with a bomb going off. Nightwing's
Nightwing
clearly dead.
Of course.
So I give this, I like the part before this more, but I give this an 7. The last issue I give an 8.
I think I'm going to give this one a 8 just for the fact I like that he gets thrown into all these different bad guys and knows how to take them all out. What
I do like
what
him.
the weakness is.
I do like him using his critical thinking, being like, "Oh, this is a Superman villain. Avoid this guy. Oh, Batman can take him, so I can take this."
And so
like things.
well,
like
he's
that.
a brute force kind of guy, but he's not. So I can make him hit that one and knock him down. Or whatever. I like that. I like that he's being logical about his attacks.
Quick sidebar for all three of us: have you guys been suckered into those Snickers
Dude, the
ads
first two
every time
times.
now again?
The
I'm like,
first two
motherfuckers,
times.
not again. The first time I
They
read it, I
changed
was
it
like,
up, so I was like, all right, this is the comic, and I was like, no, it's not.
Why is
when
why
did
is Gorilla
Flash and
Grodd here?
Superman get here? Yeah.
Yeah, during Batman, that did that for me. I was like, what the fuck's this? 2,000 gig hard drive, yeah.
Yeah. That's weird.
I don't know why he doesn't say. I think that's 2 terabytes, maybe.
Yeah.
So I
Maybe move
just
the
say 2
site away.
terabytes.
It's like it's not that
2000
much. Not
sounds
that
more
much
impressive.
anymore. Yeah.
Jupiter's Legacy, Volume 2, Number 5. Written by Mark Miller. Art by Frank Whiteley. Colors by Sonny Go. The finale of Volume 2, which, by the way, spoilers, we learn, not the finale of the whole series.
Yeah, I was gonna say this left it wide open too. There's going to be something else.
Jupiter's
coming.
Requiem.
Did he name drop the next series?
Did you see that?
I didn't read it. I haven't read the last. I haven't
Oh,
read this
you haven't
whole
read it?
story.
Oh, yeah, he
You can
does.
spoil it. I don't care.
The last page, he's like coming in 20. By the way, it's 2 years. You have 2 years to catch up.
2 years for
Look at
Frank
the last
Whiteley to
page.
draw 5 issues.
Look at the last page. It says Jupiter's Requiem coming in 2019. Well, before that, Reborn thing. Oh, before those. I forgot about
The
those.
last part. There you go.
There you go. End of book 2.
End of book 2. Jupiter's Requiem begins 2019. So the same year we get the Spider-Man movie we were talking about. The next
2 years from now. You know what I thought? The first thing I thought when I read that?
what?
Might be dead. I don't know.
It'll take Frank like 4 months to
So you
draw
didn't read this?
one issue. No, it's okay.
Alex, let me ask you a question. As someone who's waited, it's July, so 9 months for this issue. Worth it?
Really not. It was kind of it was climactic, yes, but it was really not the build-up that we've been given.
You know those pages you just went to at the end where they show Frank Whiteley's art? There's a couple pages I looked at them, I was like, wow, that looks amazing. And then at the bottom it said issue 1. I was like, oh yeah, issue 1 was great. And I looked at another page, I go, wow, that's amazing. Issue 4. I was like, oh yeah, issue 4 was great. And then they show issue 5, like there's a 1-page spread with a wave coming at the town. And I looked at it, I go, you're right, that is the only page where I was like, yeah, that took time.
See, they wanted to grease your wheels, be like, oversized issue. Not going to say
it
a
didn't feel
word.
oversized.
No, it read so fast.
It read really fast, a lot of action. I like the conclusion to the story. It's going to read way better in trade. 9 months was not really worth it. It's a good issue, but it's not really 9 months worth of being like, I didn't read this and be like, man, I saw where 9 months went.
By the way, read book 1 and 2 back to back.
You don't think you read a Circle in between?
No. Well, I guess you could. Yeah, you can read.
I'd read Circle in between.
Okay. I'm still saying that if you were not going to get Circle, reading 1 through 2 is actually a pretty consistent story, though.
Yeah,
but there's characters that you get to learn. There's stakes, of course.
Even though it's a prequel, I wouldn't read Circle first.
No,
read 1,
Jupiter's Legacy 1,
Circle 1 and 2, and then read 2, or read 1 and 2 and then read Circle. I think you get more. There's hints, especially in Volume 2, about Circle. So I think you would get more.
Well, there's even at the end of this book, when you see them... Garrett, is it okay if I spoil stuff?
Yes.
When you see them assembling that team at the end, it's like, oh, that actually means something.
We get a new superhero team. All the villains were saved today. All the heroes died. Most of them died.
Yeah.
By the way, what do you think? How did they what's the main guy's name?
Brandon, the dad, the brother is
dad.
Brandon. Which dad? There's Walter, is the cousin or the uncle.
What do you think about how he died? What do you think about that?
I think how he died, though.
Wasn't he was holding a thing and he goes, real Walter said.
Yes.
And it's
awesome.
You get this thing that can tell where anywhere you have to tell it where you want to go. So he grabs it and it's like a pole. Like, it looks like a flashlight.
That's in the first volume.
It's in the first one.
Yeah, I read
it's
the
a
first
flashlight.
volume. Yeah.
And he goes, real Walter said. Because Walter duplicates himself.
Yeah.
Right.
He's made multiples of himself and he goes, I'll give you one chance if you can find the real me.
Yeah.
So then
he's like, you get one shot at me. I'm leave my guard down.
Real Walter's head. And he gets the pole right through his head.
Transports right into his head and he dies.
And actually, that was a nice surprise.
It surprised me, yeah. I was like, because for a while I was like, oh, his kid's going to come in and save the day. Like, he's going to know which one it's him. And like all these scenarios ran through my head. And Frank Whiteley is, even though this issue I didn't feel like was amazing Frank Whiteley, it was good Frank Whiteley. So he knows how to frame that thing. So we're like, it came to that part and I was like, you're right. I was surprised.
It was one of those things where he does the one thing I like in a comic book is when you've got he does the turn page for you.
Yeah.
When there's the surprise at the end, it's not, it's at the bottom of the thing where I've already spoiled it. I had to turn the page to go, oh, wow, you just beamed right through his head.
That's the one thing that the one strength that comics has that I don't see, like your greats will do it. People who are good writers, great artists do it. But I don't see a lot of it especially mainstream comics a lot of days, is where they use that turn to their advantage.
Actually, a lot of the DC books we did today were
really?
The turn. Like Nightwing ended on the turn. It wasn't a one-page turn. I mean, it wasn't like a full panel. But
I know Scott did that a lot. Scott was good about that. He knew how to do that.
Okay, like Daredevil on issue 23, the right spot to have the blood leaking out of the bag would have been when I turned the page. When even Lego looks down and goes, your bag sprung a leak, and then you turn the page, oh, it's blood, not just...
It's only natural when you're reading, you're going to be seeing stuff out of your right side of your eye. So like when you put the reveal on the next page, I'm seeing it already. It's ruined.
I've already spoiled it.
So, but it has to be on the turn.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then it's like, wow. And I think Frank Whiteley's good about that. He does a lot in All-Star. He does it a lot. Also Superman. And he did it a couple times in this issue. And he really, I mean, I don't know where 9 months. He could have been doing something. You know, something could have happened in his life. I don't know what's happening. But if it was for him just to finish his art, 9 months is a little too long for whatever.
If I may, I
still good.
I want to point out we actually did lie to you. There is no turn. It's at the top. So by the time I get to it, I still haven't looked at it. But
oh yeah, you're right. I thought it was in the next page.
Yep, so
Well, yeah,
But
that's
still,
kinda,
I still stand behind that. I love when the turn is the reveal.
Isn't that kind of shitty though that they did Jupiter's Circle just to give Frank Whiteley more time to do this? And even then, he was still not.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of bullshit.
But it's the same as when we do Lazarus, where Mark Miller still wrote it. Greg Rucka is still going to write the Lazarus miniseries.
Yeah, but that just recently happened.
Yeah,
he
but
was pretty consistent.
He means
beforehand.
that they did Circle 1 and 2 to make sure that Frank had this out in time.
Oh,
and
I
he
see.
still got
So it's still
delayed.
2 hours. 2
2 hours?
2 hours,
Buddy,
though.
I would have taken 2 hours over 9 months. I thought it was so good, though.
I enjoyed it.
And I remember reading it being like, when you read this whole thing through, it's going to be great.
So does that mean we're going to get Jupiter's Circle 3 and 4?
No.
I would love it, but I don't think there's
surprised.
anything left to. There's nothing
You
really.
just show missions.
Jupiter Square.
I think it ended at a point where it was like
Yeah.
Jupiter Circle.
He probably
6.
did plan to end it. It's like, no, we're having too much fun doing
Good.
this.
I give it a strong 8. It could have been a 9 if I had a good couple pages. It could have been a 10. Who knows? It's a good strong 8.
Yes, I agree. Probably an 8. Not strong, not good enough to be the 9 for the fact that there's just things that, even though he had so much time, it still seemed rushed.
I have a feeling if you read the whole thing through, what you're going to do, I think this will be a 9.
Yeah.
But I got to give something.
That's because it'll be consistent.
I wasn't hyped for 9 months.
Right.
Eventually, the hype died down, and then when I saw it was coming out this week, the hype went back up.
But it wasn't as up as if it would have been as if you went 4.
Well, the hype was up,
I know,
but there's no way they could have met it after 9 months. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I think, and honestly, probably if we would have gotten this when it originally was supposed to come out,
Yeah, it would have been
probably
great. We were
probably would
ready
have
for
been
this
10.
issue when it came out, and then it got delayed.
And of course, there was no letters page being like, "Hey,
I think the biggest thing about it, the biggest thing about it was like Lazarus. We know they're taking a break. We know when it's coming back. This was just like we were waiting and be like, "Is it out this week? Like, is it out this month?" And we would see it solicited and be like, "Oh, buddy, it's coming out in 2 weeks, 3 weeks," and then it would disappear and it'd be like, "Where is it at?"
Well, that's a mistake with looking on Comic Geeks. That's why it's good that we use previews.
Yeah.
But it's like,
You know what though? It did remind me of that was like back in the. I mean, not that long ago, like 10 years ago for comics. That's how it was all the time though. For like everything, even Marvel stuff, there'd be times where I'd be like, "What the fuck's that book at?"
Yeah.
And it'd be delayed like a month.
Yeah.
But they're better about that now. But also, it's like now they're pushing through stuff, which is like, maybe hold on a second.
Right. Don't commit to something
Sorry.
you can't finish it.
we also got Hawkeye number 8, written by Kelly Thompson, Leonardo Romero, and colors by Jordi Belair. I did good. I didn't say anything to you yet. You know, I still love the art in this book, and I love the covers. And I love this book.
It's so good.
So great.
It's consistent. That's the best part you can say about it. It's consistent throughout the whole series. That's why, you won't get fans that get pissed off when there's a new artist or anything, because even though some Marvel people said that art's maybe not a driving force of the sales, but it really does complement the writing, especially when it's one consistent.
Yeah, I really think it like it, especially when you get a book like this where it really does have its own style. It really does become part of the character, part of the book. So that I think that's my biggest gripe with art changes is when it changes, it's like it's changing the book that I'm reading. You know what I mean? So when you get something that is very stylized, like in this style, and then you get somebody who does a totally different style, then it's like, well, that's not the book I'm reading. That's not the. And so like the last issue, the art was great in the last issue. This issue also was great, and big props. I mean, if you've listened to this podcast, you know we've talked about Jordi Belair. Her colors are amazing. I was reading this issue, and I actually stared at a couple panels for a while, looking at the coloring, and I thought, I was like, you know what? There is I guess it was a flashy coloring. I think Matt Hollingsworth, like when I see his colors, I was like, wow, like those are amazing. It's like, especially like in the infamous Iron Man from last week, the 2-page spread of Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And Jordy's done that kind of stuff, but in this book, it's more like her coloring suits the art. Like she's not trying to be the star of that book. She's trying to complement that person doing the art. Who is the person doing the art? Leonardo Romero has been doing good. I mean, they've been on since 8, right? It's been the same artist.
I
thought there was one issue that maybe wasn't him, because maybe I just didn't care for that issue. It was the
Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
One of them.
I think it was like number 7
really?
and number 6.
It's been.
And maybe it has been him, and it didn't
I'll look in a second here.
didn't switch. Didn't click with me.
My biggest props to this book, and the reason why I'm enjoying it so much, is I was thinking about it today when I read this issue. So we had Matt Fraction do a run for how many issues?
22.
22 issues, and then we had all new Hawkeye, which was Jeff Lemire, for I don't know how many issues. I read the whole thing. It wasn't what I mean. So that first run of Hawkeye was like, it was a breath of fresh air. It was a brand new thing. It was Hawkeye, like it made a tone for Hawkeye. It made it like, this is Hawkeye now. When you get this book, this is what you should expect. And then when Jeff took it over, it felt like he was like, I'm going to do 100%, 180 degree turn. Let's do something different. And it was more serious. It was like a very confusing tale about the past, future, like it, you know, and it was, the art change was way different. And not that it was bad, but for reading it and being like, well, I was really interested in that Fraction run. It just seems like they're being different to be different. And then we get this, which I think is more in line with Matt Fraction's run. Really? But it does feel like its own thing still. Like it does feel like this is the natural progression of what he did, what he set up. It's all about Kate instead of Clint. Even though Kate was in that, she had a couple arcs in that in the original run. I'm
not trying to not pay attention. I'm looking for
Ari to see if he's an artist.
Yeah.
So I've been reading this, being like, this is like what I wanted originally when they did all new Hawkeye. Even though that was about Kate too, and there's a lot of stuff about her dad in that too. This has been great. It's been fun. Yeah. The art's great, like you said. The storyline, now we're getting into something more serious about her dad, which also I enjoy. When she was in Young Avengers, we had that kind of conflict about her dad and like being a villain.
Sorry, number 6 of Hawkeye is Michael Walsh as the artist.
Was that the Jessica Jones?
Yeah, I think
that's the first one with Jessica Jones.
Okay. I didn't really notice any difference.
Yeah, maybe not because Blair's colorings and everything's still in it.
Yeah, was Jodie Blair still in colors?
Yeah, she's still in colors.
Yeah, this book is what? There was a book I was reading before this that I was like, oh, this is my Marvel Yes book. Because it had that same kind of feel to it. I can't remember.
Hulk.
No, it was before. It was Last Wave. I can't remember. It was the Last Wave book that I was like, oh man, I don't want this book to leave.
We'll say it over and over again, and I'm sure you both are going to agree. The greatest Marvel books that are coming out right now have nothing to do with the tie-ins.
Correct. Absolutely.
Hawkeye has nothing to do with that. It's doing its own thing.
Hulk.
Hulk.
I know you're not reading it.
Infamous Iron Man.
Jessica Jones. You guys don't read that, but that's fucking great.
Is she not tying in? Because I know it had the Hydra shape on it.
I don't know. I guess I got to read it now.
But doesn't mean, it could have Hydra on it and have nothing to do with the tie-in.
But I mean, and not that, let's say X event, not even Secret Empire, but whenever they tie in, it's always just a derailment of the actual story. Right. And like, I think Marvel needs to learn that what makes these stories great is that they're all different. They're all doing their own thing. They're all telling a story about this person. So when you group it in with whatever event you're doing, then it just becomes another thing that I'm like, what if I want to stay out of Secret Empire? And I'm reading Hawkeye, and I'm like, man, this book's so fun. It's different. And then, hey, here comes Secret Empire. Then it's like, what are you doing? I don't want to be.
I would rather them put a book out just for Sierra, like Secret Empire, because they did have the Amazing Spider-Man for Civil War 2. There was Civil War 2 Amazing Spider-Man. They did a 4-issue run.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they should
that'd
do
be
that.
A better way to do it, yeah.
Yeah, do it like that. Do it. If you want to put these characters in, put them in their own shit that doesn't involve us, and we'll keep it as we want.
Let me ask Crazy a question quick. Would you still have to buy those issues, or could you skip them mentally in your head? Or would you be like, I gotta get those?
I think, okay, if I...
The numbering wouldn't change, though.
No, I think my thing would be that if I could get Hawkeye 1 through 8 and 6 and 7 could have been a tie-in, and they did their 1 and 2 individual thing, I wouldn't have had to go back and
let's say for the sake of this question,
story.
It's Hawkeye 1 through 8, and then there's Hawkeye Secret Empire 1 and Hawkeye Secret Empire 2. You could skip it?
Yeah. Because I guess I never got Amazing Spider-Man.
Well, see, that Amazing Spider-Man wasn't point ones. It was literally number 1, number 2, number 3.
Because then say I would have stayed out of it. And actually, that's the reason I drop books now is because they get automatically tied into it and not...
Yeah, because I expected Corey to get that Civil War 2 Amazing Spider-Man thing, and he wouldn't get it. And I was like, well, fuck, I'm getting it then. Because then he was like, well, I don't want anything to do with Civil War 2 with Spider-Man. And so I was like, all right, I'll pick it up.
Which Spider-Man was it, Peter?
It was Peter.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe it was Miles because he was a big part of the story. I really like this. It's still one of Marvel's best books.
Yeah.
Daredevil also staying out of Marvel. That's all great too. Like, that's what you got to look for. And I think in this show, we gripe a lot Marvel a lot, but I think we're griping about their need to do these events, to do times with these events, to restart things for no reason,
to make money.
You gotta find. It's like you're you gotta be a 49er here. You gotta pay. You gotta pan for gold here. You know, look for the gems.
Not the football team.
Look, here's a hint. You go to your comic book shop if you're RainbowComicsandCards.com or Rainbow Comics if you walk in. Look at the covers. Anything that says Secret Empire, stay out of it. Look and see. Oh, Hawkeye, that's not a tie-in. It's probably good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hulk, it's probably good. I don't think there's anything that isn't a tie-in that right now that I can think of that I wouldn't be like, don't give that a chance. I think they're all basically, and I think it's a strong, like Marvel's issue isn't not having strong writers. It's not having strong artists. They have good teams. It's just when the teams are told to do something they're not wanting to do, that's when it's like, you can tell they're not giving their all.
Right.
When they can do their own story things like Hawkeye's been, I think it's been fun. It's been great. Like that's a book that I get and I'm like, yeah, Hawkeye. Like when you put it on this list to read this week, I was like, fuck yes, I could read Hawkeye again. Not that I wouldn't read it on my own, but I was like, when we read books for this show, so I was like, oh, I have to read this. So like I have to find time to read this rather than trying to fit it in.
Yeah, you're excited for it.
There's only one book on Secret Empire that I think is all right to have been included, and that's Captain America.
Yeah, no shit.
No, I'm just saying that Steve Rogers' Captain America is the only one that to me makes sense.
What about Sam Wilson?
And then Sam Wilson probably the second one. I was like, okay, I understand they're important to this part, but you don't need every other book.
What about Black Widow?
Shut up. She's done. She's got her own book, and she's like, fuck this shit. I'm staying out of it.
All right, last book of the night. 7 to Eternity, number 7, written by Rick Remender, drawn by James Herron, colors by Matt Hollingsworth. Or should I call it 7 to Eternity, number 7, Mos Eisley Cantina? Anybody?
Pretty much.
You know what? When this issue started, I was like, "Oh, Pena, where are you, baby?"
That's the dumbest concept to me. I've never had an image. Well, there's one image book, and we've talked about it before. Wolf, where the artist changed, and the art was shit. And then this
was it Al Scott's book?
Yeah. And then this is the same thing. We had Opinia for the first 6 issues, and then even when you open up the title page, it says. Rick Remender and James Opinia in collaboration with Image Comics present to you 7 to Eternity. It says that on the title page. I'm like, well, where the fuck is Jerome Opinia then?
Here's the thing.
I'm mad. I'm pissed.
Obviously.
When I started this issue, I was kind of mad too. I was like, where's Opinia? Like, I love his art. I think it fits the story well. And he knows how to do the magic and everything. Like, everything that is the story that I like about this fantasy tale, like, he makes it grand. He makes it what it is. By the time I got to the end of this issue, I was like, it's okay. Like, I thought it was fine. James Herron, I do like a lot. He does the art for Rumble.
I like his art.
Good.
I like his art for Rumble.
For Rumble, it's amazing.
But it's one of those things that this book,
best looking book
after having Opinia for so long, you're like, okay, this took me out of it.
Yeah, it was different. And you're right. It was like I was saying before, it was like, well, this is not the book that I signed up for.
Yep.
Not that it's bad. It's just that
it's different.
I picked out a cheeseburger. Give me a chicken sandwich, baby. Like they're both going to feed me.
Grilled chicken, even.
They're both going to feed me, but baby, I want that beef.
Yeah.
And it wasn't bad, but
I'm going to give this one a 7. This is a 7 for me. Where it's
on there too. Well,
I like the man. You know what? This is the only fantasy book I get. What happened to Autumn Thing? Is that over?
No, it's just on a break. I don't know how long.
But I don't know. Like I was kind of bummed that Adam and what's his face wasn't in it. Was it? How do you say
that? Last issue was fucking amazing.
Yeah, that was so good. It was.
6 was
when he made
aces.
That. Let's talk about it. Adam made a choice. He's like that. He's gonna help out the King of Whispers.
Yeah, instead of Jabalia or whatever.
Instead of her, she left her to die, and he's gonna go and get healed. I thought it was fucking great. And in this issue, when they talk, I think it's in this issue or it's the last issue, where they talk about sometimes villains don't know that they're the bad guy.
Yep.
Sometimes they think that they're doing the right thing, and they justify anytime.
It was this issue. Okay. It was his son.
Oh, he was telling the story.
Yeah.
No, it was he's reading the story to his kids.
Oh, you're right.
Sometimes there's a character that they're reading story for. I'd see that story I liked in this issue a lot. Mm-hmm. It's just the art I didn't feel like it fit.
Yeah.
Sometimes they just justify their need, what they need to do, and then they don't see that they're doing something wrong. They see that they're doing what they need to do.
Yep.
And like that fits so greatly with what Adam's doing. Obviously, I'm sure that's Rick's point. But like I like that the story isn't about Adam's a good guy, Mud King's a bad guy. I like that it's about
they're guys. They're people.
And I think also I a couple of issues ago I did bring up that I didn't like the Mud King's just an asshole. Like we're happy to our pure villains, but I think he proved himself last couple of issues that maybe like for him because maybe he's tricking him. I got tricked once by Negan, but maybe he really does think he really was friends with his dad, and he thinks he can turn Adam and make Adam on his side, and that'll justify what he did to his dad all those years. Like right. He's like, he was my friend. I really wanted him to be part of my team, and he didn't want to be with me. So like, I had to do what I did. But maybe if I can get you to be with me, maybe that makes it all better.
Right.
And I think that was, for me, that was like, wow, that's different. I've never seen a bad guy be like, I was friends with your dad. Like, I'll look out for you. Like, let's go do this thing. And maybe he's feeding him bullshit. He's feed everybody bullshit before. But it's very interesting from taking this group, which we thought was going to be like this long voyage to bring the Mud King somewhere, to right away derail them. And it's like, it's not going to be easy.
Right.
All that shit's going to happen. So like, where I keep seeing this book going, they're always like, nope, we're going this way. And it's, I find it exciting to see where it's going.
I have to admit, the first issue was great. And then 2, 3, 4, and even 5, I was kind of like, you know what? I could drop this book. And then I read 6. And 6 really was the saving grace for this book, to see how good action scenes can be, how good the storytelling can be. And so I was even forgiving when I read 7. I was like, yeah, you know what? I know it's going to get better again.
I'm staying on. I'm not going to drop this by any means.
I know you guys were talking
but
about
I think,
before.
like, so if we're talking about Adam and the Mud King, that's like the A story, right? So I think the B story of this issue was losing me. That's why I called it Mos Eisley Cantina. Because like when they go to the cantina to have some beer, basically, and they're trying to find Javalia's brother. And they do, the guy does, I don't even know his name. The goblin guy. But then they bring you that new character with the horns.
It almost seems like he's a bounty hunter.
I thought he was forced in there.
I don't know. That's the problem.
He has a frog, but I think he's also a frog.
The frog accepts the change and is like the banker.
Yeah. So I didn't like him. I thought he was forced in there, and even that cliffhanger at the end where he like
grabs him.
I was like, ooh.
He was an okay character. I like that we've been introduced to a new threat, and I actually like the weird purple black titted chick.
Yeah, the lady at the end.
Because now she sucks out your souls and puts them in Ultrons.
Oh, I see, Jack.
Yeah.
I didn't know who you're talking for a second. I think that's a fault. I think that's a fault of like when you think of Rick's other books, Deadly Class. Like all the characters are built enough that you're like, you know who they all are. They all are all unique. You know, when you see one, you're like, I know what kind of person that is. Or in this book, I really don't know who anybody is besides Adam and the Mud King.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like everybody else just feels like they've been in the background until this issue.
They get like 3-page character development instead of like whole issue character development.
That's the one shortcoming that this book has. I have no tie to anybody other than Adam and the Mud King.
I forget their names every time. I only remember Javalia because
I get confused who's even part of the team. I think it might benefit from a first page, like here's who's who.
Oh yeah, show the like, little picture.
Like, half the time I'm like, I see somebody who's like, who are you? Have they been in this issue? Been in this story since the beginning, or like, is this somebody new?
Do you know the only other character I actually know is Drawbridge, and he's dead. He was the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah, they could gray out the team if they're gone.
Yep.
Did we rate these already?
No, we can do it again. We rated off and on.
I give it a 7.
So to Attorney, I'll agree 7.
I'm also on 7. It could have been.
I still like it though. It's my only fantasy books though. So
it didn't throw me off, but it didn't amp me up for the next one.
I like the way magic works in this series a lot. It's like
better than
part
Dr.
of
Strange.
You and like uses your life a little
costs you stuff.
It does cost you stuff in this.
No, I know. I'm saying Doctor Strange, where everything costs you. You throw
Dr.
up
Strange.
blood and whatnot.
I see.
Hawkeye number 8.
Let me throw a spirit of ending the show on here. That's been all the reviews for this week.
We were rating everything.
What?
We did already. We've rated every single issue we've talked about today.
Okay.
I just meant Seven Attorney.
I see. Did we rate it? Okay.
Get the fuck on board, baby. You know what Alex said to us? Batman 25. He texted us being like, "Did you guys know this is a prequel?" Like, yeah, we've been talking about it on the show for the last 6 weeks. Where you been, buddy?
Hey, I've been busy reading Game of Thrones.
You've been on this show.
Did you not hear on our game night? I don't listen to what some of the shit you say.
Batman 26, Daredevil 23, Nightwing 24. Whoa. Oh, never mind. Hawkeye 8, Seven Attorney 7. Those have been the books for this week.
Jupiter's Legacy
that
number 5.
That throws me off every time I look at it. Seven Attorney 7.
Did you say Jupiter's Legacy number 5?
Oh, no. Jupiter's Legacy number 5. Those are the books been this week. If you go to RainbowComicsandCards.com or Rainbow Comics and Cards in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, or Lincoln, Nebraska, you can get those books. Give them delivered to you. Like I said, sometimes you're a hermit. Don't want to leave the house. Come right to you. So you know what? You would have been. You could, if you would just order it, Jupiter's Legacy. You could have just waited at your house for it. Instead, me and him went to the shop every week looking for it. Finally came out.
Cried in my car
every time. Yeah.
I have to actually clean Kleenexes in my car.
Rootsoftheswampthing.com. Go there to learn about the green. Swamp Thing was in I saw John put out this week that he was in Bombshells this week. So if you're a DC Bombshells, he was in that. We're still hoping for that, buddy. I had something to talk about in Free Talk, but we passed it. But I'll bring it up briefly, and we can talk about it next week. DC announced another imprint of mature superhero books.
Yeah?
They're going to start doing mature superhero books. Which, motherfucker, didn't I talk about this shit? Constantine, Swamp Thing, it's coming, baby. I know it. Those are going to be the first two. I guarantee it.
Did Hellblazer get taken out?
That's still out.
No, it's still out.
Okay.
Yeah, right. They're not going to lose money while they're waiting for this bad boy to start.
Oh, I think they should lose the money and put it in the mature section.
You know, there actually was an article. I think they did announce some books, but I tried to open the article 15 times and it would never open.
Supposed to be a surprise, bro.
So I was like, got to read the headline. I usually like to read what actually the article
Right.
says and not just read the headline, but I was like, I guess I'll just read that headline. So there's probably information out there. They might not even announce Swamp Thing, and you're thinking, of course, motherfucker, they announced it. What are you talking about?
What kind of show is this?
WednesdayComic605@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought of Spider-Man Homecoming. I keep calling it Spider-Man 2. I don't know why. Every time I keep...
I think because that's what it's a common thing we say is Spider-Man 2 is a good movie. Homecoming. I just been calling Homecoming.
Tweet at us. Let us know what you think at Wednesday Comics. So you can follow Alex
At
Alex Pastrallo. You can follow Garrett at Garrett2188. You can follow me at Marvin_Saguaro. Facebook.com/Wednesday Comics Podcast. I get an error in the script. Facebook.com/Roots of the Swamp Thing.
I wonder who wrote it.
Facebook.com/Rainbow Comics and Cards, or the Lincoln location at Facebook.com/Rainbow Comics and Cards Lincoln. Find us on iTunes. Rate, review, subscribe. You can, here's the thing.
I got to tell you something, though.
Yeah.
So there's one rule I learned about Spider-Man Homecoming. That you can never use the bell for comedy.
They knew that bell equals comedy.
They started playing that fucking... When you go to that movie, you're going to hear that bell go off like 20 times. I looked at Marvin, I was like, son of a bitch.
Rate, review, subscribe, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud underneath theSiouxEmpire.com. Subscribe and download the show. I'm going to bring up this point because friend of the show, guest host number 1.5, Corey Walls. That was some shitty one. I got stuck on this. Mentioned to me, he was like, Marvin, how come there's no more show notes? And I was like, motherfucker, every week I kill myself over show notes. He's like, I love the show notes. I go, they're still there, except recently our provider pushed us to Facebook. I used to make Facebook posts manually. Motherfucker, I tell you what, Facebook's not good at making posts for it was horrible.
Yeah.
It always frustrated me every week. But now they're like, hey, you want us to push Facebook for you? And I go, all right, baby, let's do it. You can do it automatically. It takes some work off for me. The thing is, though, they don't post all my notes. However, that's only if you look at it on Facebook and play on Facebook. If you actually click the link and go all the way through, there's notes. However, the best way to listen to the show, tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your aunts, tell your uncles. Download them on a podcast catcher. If you have an Apple phone, there's a podcast app. If you have an Android phone, get something like Podcatcher. There's multiple ones, whatever you want to do. You can do that, and the show notes are always there to tell you when we talk about a comic, when we stop talking about a comic. I listen to the show and get those times down, and believe me, somebody better be using them because that takes a long time.
They're accurate.
So if you I haven't read Batman 26, you can skip right over it. And Corey said that's the reason why he used it for, and she can still use it. But in case somebody else was confused, also being like, hey, what happened to those notes? They're still there. You just can't do it through Facebook because it's automatic now. And on YouTube, look down in the description. I put down the description too. In YouTube. Do I? Yes, I do. That has been the show. Is that all the things that you need to talk about?
I'm pretty sure.
Probably.
Keep an eye on this feed. We're going to try to... Our goal for year 2 is to have more guests on, so we're going to have some more guests on the show, and hey, we just had one today. Guess those 2. 1.5? That has been Wednesday Comics for Wednesday Comics.
Wow.
I have been Vulture.
Holy fucking shit. I'll be the shocker.
Well, that only makes me fucking Iron Man.
You're the Tinkerer.
Be the tinkerer.
I don't want to be the tinkerer. I don't tinker, I fucking blow shit up.
I like how he doesn't take Scorpion.
Yeah, I would be Scorpion.
Scorpion's the bottom tier villain, so no.
No way. He's whatever. So anyone, everyone, keep turning those pages.
Hey, where's my bell?